All right, let's get Friday started. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Ben and Woods. Let me introduce our executive producer and imaging director, Paul Reindl. Good morning, Paulie.
Good morning. It is Friday. That is my favorite open of the week.
It does
Five different opens, and that one just hits a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, Woods picks all of them except the Tuesday Open, of course, Jukebox Hero, which was my selection. I will have to say, I don't know whether I like this one better or I just like knowing that it's Friday. It could be a little bit of both, but you're right. It does hit a little bit different on a Friday morning.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, Woodsy is not here this morning. He has begun his weekend of concert activity last night. I think he was at the Observatory in North Park. We'll continue.
Night number one with the Afghan Waves.
He's threatened to go to the same show 3 nights in a row in 3 different venues throughout Southern California. We'll see if he actually makes it, but hopefully he has a good time, gets to recharge his batteries, have a little bit of fun. Of course, there's no way you can recharge your batteries by going to 3 concerts in 3 nights. He's going to come back way more exhausted than before he left. But that's pretty much what vacations are nowadays. Does anyone really? I mean, I came back fairly relaxed last week because I didn't do too much. But most of the time, you take an extra day off. You're trying to jam so many things in to the time that you have that you end up more tired than before you even left, and you get back to work exhausted for the next week.
Oh, yeah. I almost every time I go on a vacation, I'm like, I really need to schedule at least a day, maybe even 2 on the back end when you get back from vacation, because then you got laundry and stuff to do. You're tired. You're trying to reset. You're like,
but that never works. You always know you got to get right back to work. Especially
works.
Me. I've got the 2 jobs, so that hard enough to schedule a day or 2 off as it is that coordinates between the 2 schedules. So the second I'm back, I'm already thinking, okay, within 5 hours I've got to be at work. One of my 2 jobs at some point, and you just keep on rolling. Speaking of jobs, I had a busy night last night at Channel 10. Needed me to step in and anchor our 7 and 11 p.m. newscast last night, solo.
Is that the new Ben Higgins role?
I don't know.
Are you the first guy off the bench?
No one
first guy out of the bullpen?
It's one of those things where, like in baseball, you were a middle reliever, and all of a sudden they're using you in higher leverage situations. No one made the announcement now Ben Higgins will be our 8th inning guy.
Were they stretching you out to be a starter?
Yeah, he'll be our first guy off the bench. There was certainly no memo sent out to everybody, no change in my title or pay, certainly. But yeah, the last few weeks, it's happened about 3 times that they've needed me to anchor the evening news, and you think I sound like a newscaster on the radio? Well, I ramp it up on television for my sportscast, but when you get to do the news, oh yeah, I really lean into it. I am full Ron Burgundy at that moment, reading the prompter, and I think I nailed the 7 o'clock. I really did. I rarely feel this way, but I don't feel like I made a single mistake in the entire 30-minute show. Every beat, every read, every prompter, every pause, every toss, nailed it last night.
Give me a little Ron Burgundy, Ben Higgins. What was your top story yesterday?
Top story was Rady Children's Hospital's nurses vote to go on a 2-day strike.
Clear that frog in your throat. There you go.
I sounded much better last night. I promise. Yeah, Rady Children's Hospital nurses go on a 2-day strike, or authorize a 2-day strike if they're unable to reach an agreement with management on a new contract. They're looking for a raise of up to 33%. The hospital is offered 22%. Can't find the middle ground at this moment, so they're ready to go on strike. But I just I'm Ben Higgins in for Kimberly and Wale, who have the night off. I get the whole. It's all just set up for you.
Kimberly and Wale, were you solo?
I was solo. Yeah,
so
usually they're together.
They get to bounce ideas and stuff off each other. You had to go solo.
I had solo.
That doesn't seem fair.
Did have Megan Perry, our meteorologist for weather. She did an up hit, which is what we call it when you come in for a short weather segment in the first block. Usually weather's, more near the end before sports. But when there's like weather stories, there's an up hit where weather comes up early for like a little teaser. And the heat obviously has been a big story lately, although Megan says should be cooling a little bit today, a little more marine layer, which I can confirm looking out the window here at our Odyssey studios. It is gray, even all the way out here to the 15 freeway this morning. But she said it's also going to get more humid. So I don't know if that's a great trade-off. You drop a few degrees in temperature, but you ramp up the humidity. That could actually be
worse,
more unpleasant than just the heat.
Yeah.
When it gets sticky. And you've got, just now it's cloudy. You can't see the sun, but you're still feeling hot and uncomfortable, and you just can't get cool because of the humidity. So that was her big story. And then on the sports side, there wasn't a lot going on. I kind of had a pretty light night, but I did get to show some coverage of last night's dinner on the Diamond at Petco Park, which was pretty cool. Did you see any of this, Paulie?
I saw some photos that were posted by the Padres, the red carpets, all the players walking by.
Yeah,
Grutner.
And I got some video from the event. Mud and Don were the MCs.
Okay.
Once again.
Was it the team B-roll that was sent out?
Yeah,
because I watched that.
Did you see that?
Yeah. They played Family Feud
they had
on stage.
Yeah, so they set up tables on the outfield at Petco Park. I think they had over 500 guests, including Padres players, all the execs. Eric Katsenda was there. Mike Shildt got up and said something. And then as part of the festivities, they had a gourmet dinner with the chef from Cali downtown, which is a phenomenal restaurant. So it was a great meal. They had a live auction because they were raising money for the Padres Foundation and the Peter Seidler Legacy Projects. And apparently they set a record. Third annual Dinner on the Diamond raised over $1 million for charity, which is fantastic. And then as part of the festivities, as you said, Paulie, they did a game of Family Feud. It was like Team Machado versus Team Musgrove. And they had some of the other players, and I think you could, one of the auction winners got to come up and join the teams, and they did questions. I saw one of them was like, what's another word for home run? And, the survey says, and I think the first answer was dinger, and that was the second most popular answer. So they played a game of Family Feud last night, but I thought the real interesting part, and the Padres sent out the video on social media, is as players arrived, they did a little Q&A, and they said who's going to be the best dressed, and they all had their opinions. But we got to meet some of the significant others of Padres as well, including Jackson Merrill's girlfriend, Sammy. She was on the video, so Jackson seemed very happy. And then a lot of people were very excited to see what Mrs. Morejon was going to be wearing, and she was very stylish. They were very much talking about her. I forget what her first name was. But Melanie Morejon.
Well, they did every player took the mini mic and talked with the crowd. They said, or with the social media person, they said, who's going to be the best dressed person here tonight? And they said, oh, the Morejons, Melanie especially. And then they didn't show her, and then they followed it up with a post later on. And I saw, Manny and Ginella looking good.
Manny looked like he was wearing kind of that 1920s gangster kind of suit with the pinstripes.
Suit, yeah.
Fernando Tatis Jr. had on kind of a tartan plaid suit.
Cool.
Looked really, really sharp, though. I mean, there were definitely some.
Honest, that guy can make anything look cool.
Yeah, that's true. But he was definitely got a little. He got a little out there, but he rocked it. He made it work. Joe was in a baby blue suit, no tie, looked very sharp as well.
Now this is the third one. They've done it the last 3 years. I feel like Odyssey should have had a table. I feel like we should have been there last night.
I don't know if Odyssey can afford a table at this event. I think that might be the issue, is that they would love to be there, but we just can't quite hit the cover charge to make it to the Dinner on the Diamond.
Oh, we got to be better partners. We got to figure it out.
Apparently, yeah. Next year, 4th annual Dinner on the Diamond, we would like to be there in attendance and, enjoying the great meal. I
saw they had Ludacris there performing.
That's right. I heard about that. I did not see the video of Ludacris performing, but apparently he was on hand as well. So, yeah, I just have to step up my game. I mean, Jurickson looked good. Kyle Higashioka in an all black suit, black tie. He looked very sharp as well. So they got to dress to the nines. Would it have been nicer had they been on a 4-game winning streak instead of a 4-game losing streak? obviously, but it's scheduled long in advance. You don't know when it's going to hit. They can't just all go, well, we've lost 4 in a row, so none of us are showing up. Eyewash, we can't look like we're out having fun when we've lost 4 games in a row. We should be at home studying film or in the batting cage or something tonight.
It's a great cause. I think it's a cool thing. I don't know if other teams do something like that every year.
I don't. I would assume that there's got to be some other teams that do something similar, but I haven't seen anything quite like this.
I think it's cool that they do it kind of right around the All-Star break. It's something fun before the guys, wrap up the first half this weekend. Some will be going to the All-Star game. Other guys will be going home, going on vacation, whatever. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, and again, it's for a good cause. Padres Foundation and the Peter Seidler Legacy Projects, and it looked like everybody had a pretty good time. Yeah, we didn't have a table, but as Jose in the chat points out, Tony Gwynn Jr. was there.
He's a Padres employee.
But yeah, I think he was there in more of an official capacity than the rest of us.
Contrary to popular belief, not everybody here at 97.3 The Fan gets a paycheck from the Padres.
Now, credit to Tony. He was there at the round table yesterday. He showed up, did a great job. It was a good round table. Hopefully everybody had a chance to catch that as we talked Padres baseball for an hour yesterday and had some really good discussions that I'd like to kind of get into with you, Paulie, this morning in the Tier 1s. Some of the things we talked about, including I thought one of the most interesting, and it wasn't really planned by me, but kind of Craig brought it up, and as we were talking about the trade deadline coming up, and the question kind of evolved into, do you believe enough in this team to actually mortgage the future, trade future top prospects to really go for it this year? And I think we've always kind of operated under the presumption, well, that's just what they do now. That's what A.J. Preller does. He trades prospects to get help right now, fill the needs of this team. But is this a team you really have faith in? Because there are other teams that make a very tough decision. They go, yeah, I know we're a game or two above 500, but yeah, this isn't the team. And we're not gonna throw more resources at a club that doesn't really deserve the faith that we're giving it. Let's save those bullets for next season or the year after that, or just keep some of our prospects for the future.
Just look at the last 2 years. 2022, even 2021, that team had an epic collapse, but at one point they were the best team in baseball through most of the first half, and we were starting to think about making a World Series run. They collapsed. It didn't happen. Then in 22, you still feel like that core was still there, and they went all in. They traded all the prospects. You brought in Juan Soto along with Josh Bell and some others, and you made an NLCS run, and it was great. And then in 2023, didn't feel like they had that magic. They didn't feel like that team was going to go on that run. And so you added Rich Hill and G-Man Choi. 2 very different trade deadlines for A.J. Preller over the last 2 years.
You wonder, though, last year...
Is this year going to be somewhere in the middle?
Had they been more aggressive, could they have snuck into the playoffs and done what the Arizona Diamondbacks did? Or would they have given up some of the prospects that landed them Dylan Cease or Luis Arraez, where they wouldn't have been able to pull off those deals? So there's always that cost. If you go for it this year, you may not be able to add players you want next year, and you have to kind of make that calculation. And it's not in a vacuum either. You have to look at where you are in the standings, where other teams are, how good your league is, who you have to get through to potentially make it to the World Series. If everybody's mediocre, you may be mediocre, but that may be, hey, let's go for it this year because no one else is standing out from the pack. We actually could get there. So that's all part of the equation. We'll talk about that as we head into the final series of the first half of the season coming up. Let's take a quick timeout, set the menu. I got an interesting tweet from a Tier 1 yesterday that really confused me, actually. I was very excited about it. Sounds like I did something really fun recently. I just don't remember it. So we'll get into that as well coming up. We got Paul Reindl, Ben Higgins. Woodsy will be back on Monday. Tier 1s, thank you for joining us. It is Friday morning. Kelly's here. She's got traffic, and then we are off and running on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Good morning, everybody. So, Paul, I got this tweet yesterday from Tier 1 Chester, which definitely confused me a little bit. And Chester said he had been listening to the Pardon My Take podcast, which is a pretty big, is that a Barstool or is that,
Barstool,
podcast.
Huge following.
And they had David Wells on, of course, San Diego legend, former Point Loma pitcher, obviously World Series, perfect game, pitched for the Padres. Everyone knows David Wells. And Chester said, I'm listening to this podcast, and he just name dropped Ben Higgins on the podcast. I go, that's interesting, because he didn't give me any context, first of all. And I said, really? I'm surprised. I mean, I've interviewed. When
was the last time you talked to Boomer Wells?
It's been over a decade at least. And while I've interviewed him once or twice, I would have probably, I would have bet a good sum that Boomer doesn't know who I am. No reason really he should, unless he watches a ton of local TV news, which I don't get the sense that most big-time pro athletes watch a lot of that local coverage. Probably isn't great for their mental status, so they tend to skip that sort of thing. Maybe he's a Tier 1. Maybe Boomer listens to Ben and Woods in the morning. It's possible. That would be very flattering, but still not sure
Good morning, David.
Not sure why he'd be name-dropping. So I finally got some context from Chester, and he said, LOL. So David Wells was interviewed on Pardon My Take. Incredible interview. And there's a part where he mentions he only goes to Padres games, and then 5 minutes later he mentions golfing with you, Ben Higgins, and Roger Clemens. And then he
never told us about
Then
this.
he threw a time code out there, and I go, okay, that makes sense. I love to golf. I would absolutely golf with Boomer and the Rocket. I mean, really, and that's a pretty cool golf outing, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
You get an opportunity to two of the greatest pitchers of all time.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
I mean, that would be a heavyweight threesome as well. 3 big guys out there on the golf course. I bet they can hit it a mile.
Everybody's got their own cart.
And my guess is they've got access to pretty good courses, so we're playing somewhere nice. The only problem is I don't remember this. And you know me, Paulie. I'm good at remembering my golf rounds. I can tell you pretty much every shot on every course.
More than anything. You may forget your kid's birthday or something, but you'll remember what you hit on the hole 13 6 months ago.
Exactly.
At, Twin Oaks.
And maybe I was so fixated on my round that perhaps I just missed the fact that I was playing with 2 baseball legends. Like, I just thought they were, this is Dave and this is Roger. They joined me for the Force. We just got paired.
God, they look
It was
familiar.
grouped
I just
together.
can't put my finger on
Just
it.
didn't even think about it. Like, who are these guys? No, I'm just focused on my game. I don't have any idea what's going on. So I was just kind of spent all day a little bit confused as to why David Wells would be talking about me on a podcast.
Well, so you sent that over, and I was just as confused as you were. I feel like you would have told us about golfing with Roger Clemens, but I went and found the clip. Let's see if this helps jog your memory at all.
Let's see. It was
Well,
a
you
long
mentioned
time
Roger
ago.
Clemens earlier, and then that reminded me. You obviously have had run-ins with every manager that you've been
Right.
involved with. Roger Clemens managed you for a day.
He did.
He
we were
pulled
in
you,
Maine
right?
about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, at a tournament, and we were golfing. It was Ben Higgins, Roger, and I, and we were playing, and Roger brought that up. I go, son, because when I looked up, I'm like, what the hell are you doing out?
So this
3
was
weeks ago.
recently in Maine.
3 weeks ago, you golfed in Maine with Roger Clemens and David Wells.
Again, I don't think I was in Maine. I would remember a trip to New England, right? I feel like I went on vacation last week, but it was Santa Barbara. It wasn't Maine. And
I'm Googling David Wells, Roger Clemens, Ben Higgins. Golf, because he said it was a charity event.
yeah, because it's still not ringing a bell for me. I just feel like I would have remembered this round of golf.
Second annual Maine Celebrity Golf Benefit.
I would play in that if I was invited. Absolutely.
Ben Higgins.
I know where this is
ABC.
going now. ABC, that's me. ABC's Ben Higgins.
You weren't on The Bachelor, though.
No, it was the other Ben Higgins, wasn't it? I didn't even know he golfed. But now we should
I
get
didn't
together
either.
for a round. So yeah, if you don't remember the story, on one of the early seasons of ABC's The Bachelor, Well, first on The Bachelorette, he was one of the bachelors that didn't win, got near the end, but wasn't picked. And then the next season, they did The Bachelor, and they chose him to be the guy
I think
who
they
picked.
usually take one of the final like 3
Yeah.
guys. You're going to be the guy the next season.
And his name was Ben Higgins. He was, I think he was from Denver at the time. And it created a bit of confusion in that, obviously, I am also Ben Higgins, and I also appear on ABC, at least locally, here in San Diego, and The Bachelor is an ABC show. And it even got to the point, this was fairly earlier in, the Twitter sphere. He wasn't verified. I was. So I ended up getting tons of tweets that were intended for him. They were thinking, well, this is the Ben Higgins with the blue check mark, so this must be the guy we're looking for.
Do you remember? I remember you sending some of the tweets that you would get. Some of these people that are into The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, they're psychotic.
Yes.
And I remember, I don't have the screenshot saved, but I remember you sent some over. It was like, some woman was like, if I ever see Ben Higgins SD in person, I'm going to cut his wiener off.
Yeah, very opinionated. He was actually one of the more well-liked reality show characters for the most part, but still, people would get very, very mad, and then they would take it out on me. On social media. And then just to ramp things up a little bit, after The Bachelor was over, as part of the media that they do because of their notoriety, he started doing a podcast that was put out by one of my former employers where I had worked across the street, actually. And because I was already in their system, I ended up getting his checks. They were actually made out to me, my address, my name, like big 5-figure checks.
And this was
quarterly.
We were at the Mighty 1090 together.
Different place, but
independently owned. And then there were the 2 conglomerates, Odyssey and iHeart.
Yeah.
And so you were in the system at iHeart?
Yeah, I've
from
worked
years prior.
Yeah, it wasn't that long that I had been filling in there, and I've been everywhere. I'm the town mule that everyone's ridden
town
here
bike.
in sports.
Everybody's had a ride.
Everyone's had a ride on Ben Higgins over the last few years.
So you were in the system.
Not on TV, just on radio. I've definitely bounced around a little bit. So I was in the system, and they just said, "Oh, it's probably a drop-down menu somewhere in payroll." Just said, "Okay, Ben Higgins, yeah, we got him. All right, he's in the system. Click, check, $23,000." And I go, I would remember if I did something that they should be sending me this kind of money, because it didn't say what it was for. It was just a big old check, that was made out to me.
Like, that could be anything.
It was my name, my social security number, my address. There's no reason I couldn't just go down to the bank and deposit it or cash it or do whatever. But of course, I'm me, so I did some due diligence, and we figured out why I was getting that check, and somehow got it canceled and got it back to him. And I got to interview him and talked to him a couple times. We had him on the show once. And,
yeah, he was great.
He was a good guy, but now I'm kind of jealous that he gets to play golf with David Wells and Roger Clemens, something I would probably enjoy even more than he did. And that's who David Wells apparently was talking about, though, not me.
I'm glad we got to the bottom of that.
Speaking of reality TV, all right, to quickly set the menu here for the show today. First, later this hour, in fact, in about 15 minutes, we're going to have an early appearance by the Cespedes Family Barbecue guys. They are already at the All-Star Game in Arlington. Festivities go on even like the weekend before, so they're covering everything.
MLB draft this weekend.
Got the draft. Then, of course, you get the home run derby. There's the Futures game. There's some other stuff going on, so they're going to get us updated on why they're already in Texas and what's going to be happening. So that's coming up in like 15 minutes, because that was the best time that they could join us. But speaking of reality TV, coming up at 7:35, we're going to be joined by my friend Matt Ginella, who was former Golf Channel anchor reporter, and then has gone out on his own and done some other projects. But it's interesting because his wife is the newest cast member on The Real Housewives of Orange County, which debuted last night on Bravo. First episode of the new season. Katie Ginella is the new character, and Maddie is living this life. They've been filming for the last, 14 weeks or something up in Newport Beach, and I'm just curious, like the behind-the-scenes aspect of reality TV. The cameras following you and your family and your kids. Like, almost every day of the week, 14 hours a day, and they've got these cameras following their lives. I think it's fascinating. So he's going to join us. He's a giant Padres fan as well.
I didn't catch any of it last night. Already got it debuted at 9 p.m. That's my bedtime. But my wife, big Real Housewives fan, she goes, "Oh, you're gonna see Matt in a lot of episodes. Like, it's not just the women, the partners and the spouses. They are very much characters on the show."
I mean, they had to uproot their entire lives to do this show, and I am fascinated by all of it. Matty also did a phenomenal podcast on Tony Gwynn.
Yeah.
They came out last year, and we got a golf major, the last one of the season, coming up next week, the British Open, so we can talk a little golf. So a 3-for-1 with Matt Ginella coming up at 7:35, and then 9 o'clock, it is a Friar Friday, and it is a Manager's Report Friday. Mike Shildt will be with us as the Padres get set to open their final series of the first half of the season against the Atlanta Braves tonight at 6:40. Regular first pitch tonight at 6:40, and the Padres did mess around with their pitching rotation. We can get into that coming up in our next segment, and then we'll have Jake and Jordan from Cespedes Family Barbecue joining us from the All-Star game in Texas. So lots to get to. We'll do our regular features as well. John Flint from down the hall is going to come in for Take on Woods in our 7 o'clock hour. Don't do this and more. So it should be a pretty quick 4 hours today. Already 30 minutes in, Paulie.
Boom.
All right, let's get going. We'll take a quick timeout. We'll come back with Jake and Jordan, and off we continue on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Baseball coverage on 97.3 The Fan is presented by T-Mobile. Switch to T-Mobile. You can get tons of benefits, still save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. Use their savings calculator to find out how at T-Mobile.com/switch. Got Ben and Paulie on this Friday morning. Woodsy will be back on Monday. The Cespedes Family Barbecue guys going to join us on a Cespedes Family Barbecue Friday in about 5 minutes. But the Padres did announce a change in their starting pitching rotation, and I don't know if everyone caught that for this series against the Atlanta Braves. They didn't really give an explanation as to the switch, so I kind of I'm left to kind of guess on my own. But Mike Shildt had said after the game on Wednesday that they will be making an announcement on the pitching in shortly after, and then no one got to talk to him again. So they did announce, though, that instead of Randy Vasquez, Matt Waldron, and Dylan Cease, which is kind of what the normal turn would have been for these last 3 games before the All-Star break, Padres are going to go Matt Waldron, Dylan Cease, and then Randy Vasquez for these 3 games against Atlanta. So Matt Waldron will pitch tonight against Spencer Schwellenbach in the first game of the series, and then Dylan Cease will go tomorrow, and Randy Vasquez will pitch on Sunday afternoon in the finale of the series. Why? I mean, my guess would be they're trying to work out kind of a maximum equitable amount of extra rest for all their pitchers over the All-Star break, and by doing this, they're going to be able to push Michael King back toward the end of the rotation when they get back from the All-Star break.
So he'll get extra rest.
So he's going to get extra, knowing that he's already beyond his career high in innings. And then when you come back from the break, you could probably just start Waldron, Cease, and Vasquez again, and they'll each be getting like 2 extra days rest on the All-Star break and skipping over Michael King, and you won't need the 5th starter again because you have an off day coming up on Monday. So Michael King won't have to pitch until Tuesday, and then you can go right back to Waldron, Cease, and Vasquez. And then at that point, you're close to the trade deadline. Maybe you've picked up another starting pitcher that can go into the rotation in a trade, or you can call up someone from the minors like Johnny Brito. Had a really good performance, actually. Finally, first one at AAA, 5 shutout innings yesterday. I saw Kevin Charity from Mad Friars saying there's also a guy at AA, Austin Krob, who's been pitching really well lately, who could be a candidate to come up and take that 5th rotation spot if the Padres do need that turn and don't want to see Adam Major pitching again, and he's been sent to the minors. So that's the rotation of the series against the Atlanta Braves.
I didn't even really think about the All-Star break and like extra rest. I was thinking more in the immediate, just this weekend against the Braves. I was looking at the pitching matchups and I was like, I wonder, they were going to throw Cease on Sunday. The Braves are throwing Sale, who's lights out this year.
Correct.
And I wonder if they thought, you know what, there's a good chance Sale beats us anyways on Sunday, even with one of our better pitchers throwing in Cease. Do we want to put Waldron on Friday night against, what's his name again?
Spencer Schwellenbach.
Okay, perfect. So
And
probably
then
throw a 2-hitter
That'll be a
tonight.
good matchup, Cease against Reynaldo Lopez on Saturday. But you're saying they're
Giving
kind of
yourself your best chance to win Friday and Saturday.
you're saying they're kind of punting on Sunday a little bit, which
Maybe.
you'll never hear Mike
No,
Shildt say
oh,
that.
God, no.
That'll never be the
No,
stated
no.
rationale.
Well, we'll ask him. You can ask him.
But no, I'm not
I'm
gonna,
afraid.
I'm not going to ask him that. Are you kidding me? I'm not going to ask him that. But there is that element to it. I mean, try to nip that 4-game losing streak in the bud. You know, maybe take the first 2 games of the series, and then it's a free roll, house money, going for a sweep on Sunday. I mean, anyone out there wouldn't take 2 out of 3 right now? I certainly would be very happy.
Sign me up.
With 2 out of 3 against the Atlanta Braves. That would be a nice series for the Padres. But they're going to aggressively go after it in these first 2 games with Matt Waldron and Dylan Cease on the mound, and then save Randy Vasquez. And then you can pick. I mean, you can go to the bullpen game on Sunday because you got 4 days off after that. So you got everybody available. Should be then maybe that's part of the equation as well. You know, you can go short with Randy because you don't have to save anybody. All right, we're going to check traffic. We'll come back. Cespedes Family Barbecue on a Friday coming up next year on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick. Great time to be out on the roads, guys. We're really not showing much going on here. No incidents, no accidents, not a lot of slowing. Northbound 5, you got a little bit of company making your way through National City. I'm Kelly Donick with Ben & Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Throw on my Grand Ole Barbecue hat because they always present our weekly conversations with Jake and Jordan from Cespedes Family Barbecue. Jake Mintz, Jordan Schusterman, and they are joining us right now, both together, I believe. Who's going to speak first, guys?
Hello, it is me, Jake.
Hi, Jake.
And as my parents used to say, ¿Por qué no los dos? You get two for the price of one this morning.
Love
Live
that.
from Fort Worth, Texas.
And you are, okay, so you're in Fort Worth, which is near Arlington, Texas, which will be the site of the Major League Baseball All-Star Game on Tuesday. But I was trying to explain to everybody that it's not just the Home Run Derby and the All-Star Game. There's quite a bit more that goes on. What are you guys going to be covering there this weekend, Jake?
So there's just a litany of events. So tomorrow on Saturday is the Futures Game, which is essentially just a minor league all-star game with the best and some famous players who have yet to debut in the big leagues. Sunday is the draft, which they now hold during All-Star Week. Monday is the Derby, and then Tuesday is the game.
I think that there's going to be a lot of attention this All-Star break on one Paul Skeens. He just continues to electrify on the mound. 7 no-hit innings yesterday. Got pulled at 99 pitches. I know some people were unhappy about that. There's been talk that, the Pirates won't want him to throw it all. There's been talk that he should be starting this thing for the National League. What's your take on Paul Skeens at the All-Star game?
Yeah, maybe they pulled him in the 7th so that he could start in the All-Star game. And I would think about that. Maybe they're doing us a favor. Maybe Derek Shelton's saving him so he can have some innings, on the biggest stage of the season.
Because managers care so much about the All-Star game that's how they plan their pitching outings.
Especially Derek Shelton, who won't even be there. I'm sure he really cares.
In a 0-0 game.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, to me, we generally don't love steeping into the discourse around pulling guys in those situations because ultimately what we should be enjoying is the fact that Paul Skeens had that game at all. And if we get to watch him even for one inning next week on Tuesday, I think that would be fantastic. I'm really curious, what Paul Skeens thinks about this because I'm sure he would take it as an honor and would enjoy it, and I think he enjoys putting on a show. But I also know all Paul Skeens really cares about is winning, and he's that's not really part of the whole All-Star game aura. So I'd be curious if maybe he would be like, no, this is a waste of my time. But he will certainly be here, and it'll be cool to see him.
There are some players who are showmen, and I would say Skeens is a showman as well. But he is a showman because he's obsessed with winning. It is almost this innate aura he has. It's not performative, and I am curious to see how that plays in this type of setting.
Well, Jordan, you asked what Paul Skeens might think about this. I'll tell you what Paul Reindl thinks about this. I think Paul Skeens absolutely should start the exhibition All-Star game because, again, it's an exhibition. You are trying to get as many eyeballs on your game, on your sport as possible. And while somebody like Ranger Suarez may be having the better and more deserving year to get the nod for the start, what's going to get more casuals and more non-baseball fans to at least tune in that top of the first or bottom of the first, whatever it is, when you got Paul Skeens going up against, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, whoever else is in the top of the order for the American League? I think that would be an electric scene.
I think you got to use Matt Strom as the opener.
We're
happy with
loyal
that.
Listener to the show. I would be totally fine with
Yeah.
that.
One of the best.
But
One of the best.
Listen, as another Paul, I do trust your judgment here. So it's a very compelling case.
I will say you are right.
Yeah.
You are right. Yes, it is an honor to start that game. That, again, remember, Clayton Kershaw did not start an All-Star game until it was in LA in 2022. He had to grind for that honor. But it's not as if people are going to be mad at Paul Skeens. He hasn't done anything wrong. Give him this.
He's done everything right.
Yeah, people like this guy. You remember when Bryce Harper came up and everyone hated him because he was good and cocky? That is not the case with Paul Skeens. Everyone who interacts with Paul Skeens tells us no, this guy's the man.
Talking to Jake and Jordan from Cespedes Family Barbecue here on a Grand Ole Friday. They are in Texas for the Major League Baseball All-Star Weekend festivities, the Futures Game, the Draft, the Home Run Derby. Are you guys playing in the Celebrity Softball game as well?
We are not remotely that famous. Please. No thanks.
No,
we
no
went through
chance.
the
One
roster
thing-
for that a couple days ago, and
You
we
don't
did not
really
know
have
all
to be
of
that
them.
famous, or at least known to 40-year-olds, obviously, to be in the game this year.
Yeah, you guys are not exactly the demographic for the all-star
Hey,
celebrity.
If it makes you feel any better, I didn't recognize that many of those names.
Okay, good.
Yeah, where's James Shildt? The one thing about this All-Star week that I want to highlight for people, though, is the skills competition after the Futures game. Do you guys know about this?
No. There's so
I
like
didn't even know they were doing that.
like
now.
the NBA weekend, they've got or the Pro Bowl,
Amazing.
like a skills
Okay, so-
competition.
Yeah, this is the first time they've ever done this, and they haven't really promoted it at all because I think they're a little bit afraid
That's a
of how
bad
it's gonna
sign.
go. But let me say, I'll criticize MLB at all. This is a good thing. Like, they're test running a very wonky, whimsical contest, and it's going to be. Do you remember MVP 2005, the mini game, the hitting mini game
yes.
in that video game? It's that basically
Okay.
that they're doing with the Futures game guys on the field after the Futures game. Guys get points for hitting targets that are like placed throughout the field.
Like trying to break
And-
panes of glass out on the field or something like that with line drives.
Yeah, it'll look something like that. It's going to be very odd and very unique, and it is so instructive that you guys had absolutely no idea what was happening.
Is this going to be with like prospects or major leaguers?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Prospects.
it's the prospects after the Futures game. There's a select number of the top prospects that will participate. It's essentially a hitting contest, but there will be versions of it where you get points for hitting homers, versions of it where you get points for bunts, for getting bunts down. Like, it's going to be really interesting, and I'm glad that we're trying something like this.
In the
to,
setting, yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw this in Japan where they like had bunt and they had different zones that were worth points on the field, and you had to like bunt it into the 4-point zone or
Right.
the 2-point
Well, I'm thinking,
zone or whatever.
I'm thinking that the NBA All-Star game for the skills challenge, you'd always see point guards mostly. It'd be like Steve Nash, Chris Paul, guys like that. So would you get like a Luis Ariz out there to hit in this hitting contest?
This is interesting. I am curious if some of the prospects more known for their power are actually secretly awesome bunters, and they just get up there and lay a bunch down to win the contest. We're going to find out. We have no idea. This is totally new. I think it could go a lot of different directions, but generally we are going to commend them for trying new stuff.
But what's notable, right, is if this does go well, you could foresee a situation where MLB implements other on-field contests during All-Star Week, because all we really have is the game and the Derby, right? We have the Futures game, but it's not the big leaguers. Like, NBA and the NHL has like these other events that they can point to. MLB doesn't have that, and I think they want something like that.
Well, guys, appreciate you checking in from Texas for us, and enjoy your coverage. And you did a very nice job in coordinating the two voices back and forth. That was like seamless.
It's not easy to do.
No, that's not easy, and you guys handled it very well. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
It's almost like Jordan and I have been working together for 11 years.
Yeah, but Woodsy and I have been working together for like 7 years, and we wouldn't have been able to do that on the phone.
it'd be a nightmare.
No chance at all. Thanks, guys.
We're doing our best. Thanks. Always fun.
There he
That says
is.
more about you. Bye.
Jake Mentz, Jordan Schusterman from Cespedes Family Barbecue joining us. And, they're going to be covering the draft as well, which starts on Sunday. And the Padres, if you don't remember, they have the 25th pick in the first round, which is not – they didn't play that well. Usually the 25th means you're probably a playoff team and you went deep and had a good season. They were actually knocked down 10 slots from what they should have been the 15th pick, but because of their competitive balance tax penalties multiple years in a row, they're actually getting a worse pick this year, 10 than they would have had, which is one of the reasons why they're trying to reset that luxury tax setting so they don't get dinged again in the draft for next year. They do have a couple of extra picks at the end of the fourth round for offering qualifying offers for Blake Snell and Josh Hader. When they signed with other teams, they were compensated with extra selections. So they do have, I don't know, what is it? I saw it was like 9 of the first 151 picks or something like that. So the Padres, I'm sure. And you look at the success that AJ's had now in the first round of the draft since he has been the general manager, and it's actually pretty impressive. We can kind of go over the
through his
picks that
draft
he's made.
history.
Jackson Merrill obviously is the one you see here, but most of them are in the big leagues right now, and most of them are productive big leaguers, which is a pretty good track record of success for A.J. Preller in the first round of the draft, so we can talk about that coming up as well. Take a quick time out, top of the hour. When we come back, We got John Flint from down the hall. He's going to fill in on Take on Woods, your chance to qualify for a trip to Las Vegas. We want to call in 833-288-0973. More Ben and Paul on the way on a Friday on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Won't be official until probably sometime this afternoon, but let me be the first to welcome back Xander Bogaerts to the San Diego Padres. I would imagine that the Padres will make that move later today. Xander Bogaerts went 2 for 3 last night in his second straight rehab assignment with the Lake Elsinore Storm. Had an RBI, a walk, a run scored, played 6 more innings in the field. It seems like he's passed all the tests in his recovery from his shoulder break. Hit .333 in 6 rehab games, 4 at AAA El Paso, 2 at Lake Elsinore. Came back to Petco Park earlier this week, took a lot of batting practice on the field as well. Really no reason for him to stay in the minor leagues anymore. So my guess would be tonight, tomorrow at the absolute latest, but Xander Bogaerts should be returning for the San Diego Padres. And
Love it.
none too late, because if you were paying attention last night, the New York Mets shut out the Washington Nationals 7-0, and another win by the Mets lifted them to 2 games above 500. I think a season high 2 games above 500. That is also where the Padres are, and due to how percentages work, the Mets are actually percentage points ahead of the Padres now for the 3rd and final wild card spot in the National League. So the Padres now would not be in the postseason. If the playoffs started today, Paulie,
Your favorite words.
Padres would not be in the playoffs. The New York Mets would be. They've continued their surge, and all it took was 4 losses in a row for the Padres to basically undo a lot of the good work that they did over the last month or so in playing some of their best baseball of the season. That's how close, that's how on a kind of a razor's edge the National League playoff chase is probably going to be for the rest of the year. It's been very mediocre, obviously, for most of the year, but for so many of the teams that have hovered, usually a couple of games below 500, a couple of games above 500, but there's no guarantee that that will continue. The Mets could get hot and stay hot, and they could be a team that, pulls away and starts, building a lead in the wild card race. The St. Louis Cardinals, who are also a game ahead of the Padres right now, they could also be, they could get hot, they could get cold. The Diamondbacks, they won again yesterday, 1-0 over the Braves. They're back to 500. They're only a game back as well. So you have a bad week or so, you could find yourself not only out of a playoff spot, but chasing down 2 or 3 teams that are now above you. And while, yes, there's still plenty of time left in the season, we're only at the All-Star break. The All-Star break, we're past the midway point. And before you know it, a couple of weeks from now, it's going to be August. And then truly it is going to be playoff chase time, where it will matter if you're, 2 games out or 2 games up. At some point, that context is going to matter. Right now, you play well the rest of the season, you still control your own destiny. No one's going 78-0 the rest of the way. Mm-hmm. So you play well, you're fine. But at some point, if you play badly for a month, you are going to have to rely on other teams to play poorly in addition to you playing well down the stretch.
The worst spot to be in.
Well, that's where the Padres were last year.
Yeah.
And while they did play well the last, 3 weeks of the season, they put themselves in too deep of a hole that other teams didn't play poorly enough to allow them to climb back into a playoff spot. So you don't want to be in that situation again. That's why four-game losing streaks need to be snapped, and you need to get back to some winning ways. They've done it every other time this season. They've lost, 5 in a row, 4 in a row, 5 out of 6. They've always bounced back with a good stretch every single time. Now they're being asked to do it again, and do it against a really tough portion of the schedule with the 3 against the Braves, and then you come right out of the break against a really good Cleveland Guardians team and an East Coast road trip to start the second half of the season. So this is a dangerous spot on the schedule. I know Craig Elston often talks about kind of the red alert, spots where you're looking. This is definitely one of them for the San Diego Padres now. And they're going to need to turn it around quickly and play some good baseball. Starting tonight, hopefully, with the 6:40 first pitch, Matt Waldron against Spencer Schwellenbach. Need a contestant for Take on Woods? We got John coming in from down the hall. He's going to fill in as our guest competition. Either way, it's your opportunity to win a trip for 2 to Las Vegas, 2 nights at the Rio. We got dinner credits. We've got day beds at the pool. They've got new rooms. They've got new pools. You got a new food court and everything if you want to check it out. But you have to battle John in our musical trivia competition. Give us a call, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973 if you want to play our game here in just a couple of minutes.
You got a chance against John. He's good.
He's good. He's very good.
Woods is really good.
Woods is the best. He's been gettable, though. He's lost a couple of times this month. We'll see. John's, what is he? I think he's 2-1 in the game, I think, all time, maybe. He'll know his record when he comes in.
But yeah, that's probably about right.
But somewhere around there. So, he's no pushover. You'll definitely earn it if you get it, but you got a chance here. So call us now. Mentioned during our interview with the Cespedes Family Barbecue guys, the Paul Skeens no-hit bid yesterday, 7 innings, no hits, 11 strikeouts, but he was pulled by Pirates manager Derek Shildt after 99 pitches. And while I certainly understand a rookie pitcher who is probably on an innings limit and you want to save some of those bullets for the second half of the season, you're going into the All-Star break. You know he's got some extra rest. Even if he pitches in the All-Star game, it had to be pretty tempting to leave him out there and see if he could do something really special.
Here's Derek Shelton after the game. He said it had nothing to do with the pitch count.
It really didn't have anything to do with the pitch count. Everybody makes it about pitch counts. It was about where he was at. It was about, trusting your eyes, trusting him. When I went and talked to him after that, he was tired. They did a good job of wearing him down, and, he gave us everything he had.
I get it, but
you can say it's not about a pitch count number, but it's pitch count is about a guy getting tired at the end of the game and not wanting to throw him out there.
That's a main contributing factor into where he's at.
That's just another way of saying
99
his
pitches.
pitch count was pretty high, and we thought the smart thing to do would be to take him out of the game. Obviously, that's why pitchers usually come out of the game after 6 or 7 innings. They're tired, and it's time to go to a bullpen arm. I understand the concept here, Derek Shelton, but most pitchers don't have a no-hitter going as well after those 7 innings, so it makes your decision
Did he
a
just try
little
to
easier.
outsmart the media right there?
I think so. It's not about pitch count. It was about him getting tired at the end of the game.
Count. It's about how many pitches he threw.
You know what? If the Padres had a rookie sensation like Paul Skeens, I think I would have been okay with that decision as well.
It would have sucked.
It would have sucked, but caution. This is a guy that the Pirates are.
What happened in the rest of the game? When did the first hitter?
Next inning, he hit 2 hits in the 8th inning. They didn't give up any runs. They did end up winning the game 1-0, so they didn't lose the game. So you can say Derek Shelton got exactly what he was hoping for. That was the win in the game, but they didn't get the no-hitter. They gave up a couple of hits in the 8th inning. If this was a pitcher on the Padres, though, you're hoping they're going to be healthy for, several seasons into the future. This is his first big league season. He was pitching in college at this time, basically
Pretty
13 months ago. You really don't want to throw a guy out there who, if it's 70 pitches, if it's 110 pitches, if he's tired, and it would be irresponsible for a manager to send out a guy. If you really talk to him and he said, yeah, they took it all out of me that inning, I am gassed. You can't go, well, you have to go back out there. You have a no-hitter going. Now you can't say that. No, you have to go out there. You have a no-hitter going. No manager in baseball is going to do that. Some managers will say, hey, this is up to you. Do you want to see if you can go out there and continue? I will trust your judgment here. And a lot of pitchers would say, yeah, I want to go out and try to finish the no-hitter. All right, let's I see Johnny's out there, so let's get to it. It's time to play. Take on John. John is laughing about our production values here for Take on Woods.
You must work for Odyssey.
Take on Woods is brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Care. It only takes 15 minutes, and you don't have to get out of your car. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. That's SoCalOilChange.com. We have to pick a contestant
So
here.
now you leave again.
Oh,
we're
all
gonna
right,
play
that's
the
all right.
contestant
Yeah,
here.
say hi to. Is this Russell?
This is.
Russell, say hi to John. You're about to take on each other in our game today.
Hey, Russell.
Hey, John. Good luck.
All right, John,
Thanks, pal.
give us a minute. We're going to play his portion of the game, and then we'll bring you back in for the second half. If you can beat or tie John, you will qualify for our grand prize getaway to Las Vegas. Just told you about it at the Rio. You can book your rooms right now at RioLasVegas.com. All right, Russell, here are your categories you can choose from today. We have Oh Boy. Those are 5 song titles that include the word boy or boys. Seen and Heard. 5 song titles that include either the word seen or heard. And boy bands, those are bands or artists with boy or boys somewhere in their name. So, oh boy, seen and heard, or boy bands. Russell, what would you like to play?
Wow. Let's try, oh, boy.
Oh boy. Okay, 5 song titles that include the word boy or boys. You'll have 60 seconds. Pass if you don't know one. We can come back to it. First question's the 2-second song. Paulie's going to play you some music. You need to give me the title of the song and the artist to score the point. Russell, are you ready to go?
I think so. Let's do it.
All right, 60 seconds on the clock. Again, the category is Oh Boy. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Russell. Let's take on John.
Tap.
Don Henley says he was driving on the San Diego freeway when he saw a Grateful Dead bumper sticker on a Cadillac DeVille inspiring a famous lyric from which 1984 hit.
Boys of Summer.
Correct. Hiding your emotions is a key theme of which 1979 classic by The Cure.
Tap.
Poet Shel Silverstein wrote the lyrics to which Johnny Cash song about a young man looking to get revenge on his father for the burden bestowed on him at birth.
Boy Named Sue.
Correct. Which song by Kenny Loggins accompanies the iconic beach volleyball scene from the movie Top Gun?
Playing with the Boys.
Correct. Back to our 2-second song.
Oh. Boys Are Back in Town.
By?
Boy,
Quickly.
Running out of time? No. We got half of that one. We got 3 right. Boys of Summer, A Boy Named Sue, and Playing with the Boys. The Boys Are Back in Town is by Thin Lizzy, and it was Boys Don't Cry by The Cure. All right, hang on the line. 3's a good score, Russell. All right, Russell's score is locked in. John is back. So, John, today's category is Oh Boy. Those are song titles that include the word boy or boys.
Okay.
Remember how it works? 2-second song, title, and artist for that one.
Okay.
And then the questions come after that. 60 seconds pass. If you don't know, we can come back to it. Paul, you ready?
I'm ready.
John, are you ready?
I think I am.
All right, 60 seconds on the clock. Category is Oh Boy. Your time starts when Paul plays the music. Good luck, John. Let's take on Russell.
Thin Lizzy, Boys Are Back in Town.
Correct. Don Henley says he was driving.
Boys of Summer.
Correct. Hiding Your Emotions is a key theme of which 1979 classic by The Cure.
Boys Don't Cry.
Correct. Poet Shel Silverstein wrote the lyrics to which Johnny
Boy
Cash
Named
song.
Sue.
Wow. Which song by Kenny Loggins accompanies the iconic beach volleyball scene from the movie Top Gun?
Playing with the Boys.
Whoa!
Damn.
John,
Damn.
that was...
Are we done?
Yes,
done.
that's a 5 for 5, and maybe faster than Woods has ever done it before. That was a Hall of Fame performance.
Wow.
Russell, I'm sorry. You just ran into a buzzsaw today.
That was electric.
Turns out I know my boys.
We may need to start playing like Woods and not give you the category because you just eviscerated those questions.
Wow. I mean, well, thank you. The Johnny Cash was a softball for me, but I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Sorry,
John,
Russ.
Thank you for stopping by. Good to
Okay.
see you as always. Have a good weekend.
Cool,
And
Well done.
Russell, I'm sorry. I did not know that was going to go so well for John Flint. That was an incredible performance.
That was well done.
Yeah, that was the Do This. We got Don't Do This coming up next. I love the Do This. It came from the Phillies-Dodgers game yesterday where the Dodgers got swept. They've lost 4 in a row as well, by the way. We'll get to that coming up
I'm gonna
next.
take the Mountain West to task. Mountain West Media Days in Las Vegas. What are you guys doing?
All right, it's coming up after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. Still in awe of John Flynn's performance
That was
there.
incredible.
And take on John. I mean, what was that, about 22 seconds or so?
Not even.
To get all 5 questions. That was amazing. Time for Don't Do This, brought to you by the Craft Taco in Sorrento Valley. Craft Taco has some of the best quality tacos in all of San Diego. Go to thecrafttaco.com. Take a look at their happy hour specials today, thecrafttaco.com. I will get us started, and I will admit this is not really from the world of sports, but as I mentioned, I was anchoring the news last night, our 7 p.m. news on Channel 10. And we do, at the end of the 7, like at 7:26, fact or fiction every night, where you take a story that's been like circulating on social media and you either say, yes, it's true, or you debunk it. Like, no, this is fake. Don't believe everything you see on social media. And yesterday's fact or fiction story had to do with a man in China who was intercepted at a border crossing between Hong Kong and mainland China. Authorities say when the unnamed trafficker was intercepted, they found in his pants 104 live snakes.
What?
Yes, he had 104 live snakes in his pants, including milk snakes and Texas rat snakes. It is not legal to bring in live non-native species to China. Now, this was a true story. He was, in fact, intercepted. We don't have some of the details, like why exactly he was bringing them in, although exotic animals are highly prized as pets, so I'd imagine he had a buyer or buyers set up for some of these snakes and was trying to smuggle them in to the country. So what he did was he had like burlap sacks that he had put about
Yes, I know how.
5 of them.
I know how that works.
No, and he had like stuffed them down his pants, and then in each sack was like 20 to 25
Stop
snakes.
talking about sacks.
In his pants with the snakes in his trousers.
I mean, I've heard of a trouser snake, but this is ridiculous. What the hell?
That was a factual story.
So that's what you do on the news when you
Apparently
get the anchor desk.
that is what we do on the news last night.
Okay.
I mean, where would you smuggle snakes, Paul?
I wouldn't smuggle snakes. That's something I would never have to worry about. I promise you. Jeez.
They're actually used for food in China as well. Soups. They even make alcohol, like liquor, out of snakes, which I don't want to try.
A shot of rattlesnake?
Yeah. No thanks. None of the snakes were venomous, which is probably wise. If you're going to put snakes down your pants, you don't want them to be the venomous kind. For sure.
All right, I'll go next here. Mountain West Media Day happening right now in Las Vegas the last couple of days. And the Media Day events are being held at the Circa, which is downtown Las Vegas. It is not right there on the Strip with all of the main hotels. This one's about, what is it, like 8 or 9 miles away from the Strip?
It's a good taxi cab ride
like
between downtown and the Strip,
20
for
minute
sure.
Uber ride.
Yeah.
And so they're at the Circa, and the thing with the Circa hotel is that it is a 21 and older hotel. And I know this because they are very strict on 21 and up. Like,
you can't bring the kids to stadium swim.
You cannot. Like, young children with you, not going to cause any trouble. No, they will not let you in. I remember we got dropped off in the parking garage. That's where the Uber and Lyft drop off was. And then you walk across this little sky bridge to get into the casino. And they have a security guard there who checks every single ID for every person that walks in. Now, yes, in Vegas, you're supposed to be 21 to gamble and drink, but you get carded very little in Las Vegas. This place will card you, and they do not let anybody in. Well, the problem with that is some of these football teams have kids that are 19 or 20,
of course,
maybe even 18 years old.
I mean, unless you're a senior, you're probably under 21, right? Or maybe a junior, but most
of them are.
Yeah, most of them are under 21 years old.
Now, the teams don't bring every player for Media Day.
Right, they only bring a couple.
They bring their stars along with their coaches and all that. But they do have media availability. And I saw that Somebody reported yesterday, Media Day is held at the Circa, a hotel strictly for 21 and older. Boise State star running back Ashton Ginella is only 20 years old, so he hosted a solo Media Day by himself at the Bellagio, a good 20 minutes away down on the
He was
Strip.
banished from Media Day
He was
for not being
able
21.
to be there. And again,
He was wasn't he like the conference player of the year or something?
Yeah, he's a very good player, so you would think the media would want to hear from him. So they're sitting there talking to so-and-so at the Circa, and then they're like, oh, crap, Ashton's going in 15 minutes. We got to book it all the way down to Bellagio now for his one solo media appearance.
All right. I assume there's some sort of sponsorship deal involved here. Circa does a lot of advertising. You hear them on our station as well. We've given away prizes for Circa. They wanted the Mountain West there, get on TV a little bit. I get it. Probably gave him a nice deal. You can't make an exception, like somehow just have him show up at least for the press conference. I mean, even if he can't stay there, you can't even get him in for a press conference. Like have a security guard escort him everywhere he goes.
Unless the Mountain West told all of their schools, hey, don't bring any players that are under 21.
Well, I'm guessing they probably did, but they had to make it. We have to have the conference player of the year here.
So get him a wristband or something.
That's
some sort of an
gotta be,
exception that you can let him in.
A private security escort throughout the building to make sure he doesn't gamble or drink while he's in there. It's not like, okay, I get it why you don't want 7-year-olds at your casino pool all day, interrupting the gamblers. It's not a family establishment. But a 20-year-old college football player is not the kind of disruptor that you're probably worried about allowing into your building. That doesn't even make sense, actually.
Once again, Mountain West just embarrassing.
That makes no sense. All right, finally, a little do this.
DD mega doo-doo.
Thought this was a pretty cool moment. So, Citizens Bank Park last night, Philadelphia Phillies were trying to complete a sweep of the Los Angeles Dodgers. It was going well. They were already up 4-1 in the 8th inning when Kyle Schwarber did it again. Launched a home run into the first deck, like the first row of the second deck in right field at Citizens Bank Park. And we have it on our YouTube stream. Should we just play the audio and you can kind of hear what goes on? All right.
There's the shot.
All right, now pause it for a second. So if you didn't see the video, you could sort of quickly see that a guy in a light blue Phillies cap tried to make the catch in the first row. Front row, goes right off his hands, falls down below into the section
underneath. You see that
underneath.
at Petco all the time. A foul ball hits the third deck behind
falls
home
back
plate,
down.
and if you're sitting in the front or the lower level, you got to turn around because that ball's probably coming back down.
Again, it's tough to catch a ball like that. It's a Kyle Schwarber home run. Exit velocity 105, 110 miles per hour, screaming at you. There's no shame in not catching that ball. Here's the problem, though.
Oh, there's a kid sitting next to the dad. He's got his hand on his head.
So they got the two boys.
And
in
the
between
kid
looks like the mom and the dad.
Yeah, kids are bawling their eyes
And
out.
he's wearing a Kyle Schwarber jersey, this kid, and he is just crying his eyes out because dad had a chance to catch a home run from his favorite player and biffed it right there on television. He is crying and crying. But wait, this is do this. So there's a happy ending to this story.
This was a great moment. Look at that. We have great ushers. We really do.
So an usher went and retrieved the ball.
Somehow got it from whoever it ended up with below.
And brought it up to the second deck and gave the ball to the kid that was crying because his dad just missed it.
And this kid is now so happy. I mean, he is beaming.
And he's leaving with the usher. He gave him a big hug.
Yeah,
That's
just
awesome.
like, okay, usher of the year. Philadelphia Phillies, that guy deserves a raise or a promotion or something because not only did you make the night for a family of your fans, but you also made national television, national radio, and everywhere showing what good folks the people at Citizens Bank Park actually are.
And the Phillies went and beat the Dodgers after.
And they handed the Dodgers a 4th straight loss. And that is don't and do this for a Friday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
When we come back, I got my buddy Matt Ginella is going to join us. Huge Padres fan. Did a tremendous Tony Gwynn podcast last year. Hopefully you check that out. But he's also part of the new cast, and I say that he is part of the new cast of The Real Housewives of Orange County. Now, his wife is the new star of the show, one of the new friends, but he's part of it. I mean, cameras are all up in his life the last few months as well. I'm so curious to understand this phenomenon, how it works, what goes on behind the scenes. So we will chat with Matty G coming up next. Ben and Paul with you on a Friday on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. What's baseball really like? You can join former Padre, MLB All-Star Brett Boone and his big league friends on his podcast, The Boone Podcast, 3 days a week. We get the chance to talk to Brett most Wednesdays, which is fantastic. His podcast is great, though. You can check it out on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. Speaking of podcasts, our next guest coming up had a phenomenal podcast on Tony Gwynn. We talked about it last year. If you haven't checked it out, we'll remind you about that. We got Matt Ginella standing by. He's going to join us right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danek.
Traffic is sponsored by Viejas Casino and Resort. Fortunately, no incidents, no accidents, no surprises on our roads, which means you're going to see some of the usual slowing, usual spots. Yep, looking at you, westbound 52, a little sluggish out of Santee. The daily jackpots at Viejas Casino and Resort are on fire. Players have hit huge wins with bets as low as 50 cents. Check out their jackpot winning smiles on the Viejas Facebook page. Want to join them? Who knows? The next jackpot winner could be you at Viejas Casino and Resort. I'm Kelly Danek with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So, as you probably know, I first started following Matt Ginella for his golf coverage, Golf Channel, Sports Illustrated, I think a couple of other spots in his past. But then, as he moved out to San Diego a few years ago, I found out was a huge Padres fan. And then we met at Goat Hill Park, where we play golf regularly and talk Padres baseball. But he's got a whole nother development in his life that has materialized, which is kind of the reason I've brought him on board today. Good morning, Matty. It's good to see you as always.
Good morning, guys. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Yeah. Now, how are you feeling first about the Padres right now? I mean, things felt so good a week ago. Last Friday, got that amazing win in the 9th inning with the Manny walk-off home run, and since then, 4 straight losses. I can't help but call it a roller coaster. I know Mike Shildt doesn't like that, but we're on the roller coaster ride here.
I was talking to John Ashworth, actually, our friend from Goat Hill Park, and we were saying, being a Padre fan is like, or being the Padres is like being a 7 handicap golfer. It's like, birdie, par, birdie. Oh, I got a good round going, double bogey, double bogey. Like, I can relate because I'm a 7 handicap. It's literally like watching a 7 handicap play golf at Goat Hill Park.
But then you always finish like with a par or a birdie to bring you back then the next day because you just can't quit.
Oh,
you just can't quit
18.
them.
Yeah. Birdied 18 to shoot 7 over.
Yeah, you just can't quit them. So anyway, I found this fascinating when I learned about it a few weeks ago. But so the last, couple of months, you've been spending filming a new season of The Real Housewives of Orange County, where your wife, Katie, is the newest cast member on the season that debuted last night on Bravo. Now, Paul's wife, Megan, huge fan of the show. She's going to kind of keep us...
She's the Bravo archivist.
Updated on what's going on. I am just fascinated by this whole thing. How did this come about? What has your life been like now over these last few months, Matt?
All right, so we got to break this down. I mean, you're throwing a lot of stuff.
Well, your post yesterday, how you described it as the NFL for women, I think was pretty spot on.
So it's week 1. It's week 1 of a 24-week season, Paul. And right now we're 1-0. You know what I mean? Like we got a nice win yesterday. It was a nice, easy intro for my wife into this world of craziness. It came about, we had done Say Yes to the Dress several years ago. To be totally honest with you, I don't exactly know how it came about. I wasn't really actually paying attention. I don't watch the show. She said, hey, they've reached out to me. I'm interviewing, I'm doing some stuff. And before I know it, they literally said, you are the next Real Housewife of Orange County. So that's put forward this whole other stream of events that needed to happen. And we shot for 5 months and now it's airing. And it's, I watched my wife navigate this, like if we went out as 8 strange guys, I feel like maybe there would be some, oh, you're a Dodger fan, I'm a Padre fan, but we would find common ground. Eventually we could all end up playing golf together. Like there might be even one exchange of guys being like, oh, hey, I don't like you, don't like, but we would.
It can't be conflict all the time, though.
Yeah, but this gets so nasty, and they yell at each other. They look to try to figure out ways that they can, get into each other's business and cause problems. And it is the NFL of women.
This is a great teaser for the season, obviously, and I don't know how many people in our audience watch, but I'm fascinated though. So it's reality TV. I use that in quotes, but I've always wondered. So how real is it? What are the mechanics of this show? Like, how much are you seeing these cameras in your day-to-day lives?
They probably have hundreds and hundreds of hours of footage that they got to cut down too for each show.
It's 100 hours of filming for 1 hour of TV, and they do 24 hours of TV. So there are crews. I being with my background in storytelling and production, I was more fascinated by the whole production element than anything else, to be honest with you. And there would be crews of 30 people rocking up at our house. I mean, they're vans, trucks, multiple sound people. Now, people say, "Oh, did they tell you what to say?" They don't tell you what they introduce ideas or topics to talk about, or it's like they put something in the middle of the table and say, "All right, discuss," but they don't tell you what to say. I mean, it's real. This conflict and the yelling and arguments and stuff. Now, we're year one. We are rookies, and again, I'm proud of my wife, the way she navigated and stayed true to who she is, and stuck up for herself when she needed. I mean, she's putting on a jersey and she's going in there and she's doing battle.
Talking to Matt Ginella, he's a real house husband of Orange County on the new season on Bravo. How do you man like the lack of privacy? How intrusive is that in your day-to-day life?
I think it definitely helped that I have a background in TV, and that I was on a morning show, the golf, morning drive on Golf Channel. And that would be a very small introduction into the idea that I've been mic'd up for a long time. And Katie, my wife, has seen that whole process and has been a part of the process from time to time. It's very intrusive. I mean, especially for her. And then at times for us, because they would come into the house, 2-3 days a week. And, Katie uses me as her sounding board throughout this season because she's new and doesn't know a lot of the other women. I'm sure your listeners are fascinated by this whole. I mean, there are 17 million viewers of this show, which, to put that in perspective, doubles the final round of the Masters. And so I'm mesmerized by just how many people actually watch this show.
And then I think some people must be curious because you have kids as well, and how they dealt with them, and how hesitant you guys were to kind of throw them into the world, and how much you could kind of protect them from it.
Yeah, we have 4 kids. Only 2 are going to be involved in the show, the oldest and the youngest. Our daughter Kylie is, she was of age and was interested in and chose to do it. And then our little guy pops in and out, and he's been familiar with the camera. He's a little ham, and he really enjoyed and got to know the production company. He loves it, and we're not going to really show him the actual show, but we did allow him to be a part of the filming process, which he loved them and they loved him. And he I think he has a few, drop the audience lines with some of his observations and thoughts on what his mom is navigating. So
Matty Ginella is with us. He's on the Real Housewives of Orange County. Well, his wife Katie is. The new season debuted last night on Bravo.
I saw Katie's making history too. She is the first Asian woman in the show's history. Like, it's been going for like 20 years, and it's been nothing
first
but
Korean
old white women for like 20 years. So she's breaking through some ceilings there.
Yeah, and that's and she didn't really anticipate. I mean, she wanted that opportunity, and the amount of feedback she's getting, support she's getting from the Asian community is a little overwhelming to her at this point. She didn't realize that was going to be such a big. She was told that going in, you're going to be the first Asian on Real Housewives of Orange County, 18th season. You're going to be the first Korean on the Bravo Real Housewives franchise. She's an adoptee from Korea. She's really kind of owning this whole role with a large badge of courage, and that also, you know, that impacts how she's portrayed. I mean, she realizes there's a lot more going on than just her trying to, you know, go toe to toe with some of these social conflicts.
Now, last thing, Matt, you know, you've been in the public spotlight, obviously, but nothing like this. The kind of opinions you're going to be getting on social media. Are you ready for what is now coming over the next 23 weeks?
No, there's no way. I mean, Twitter. There's a good chance I'm off Twitter here very soon. I mean, that's a nasty, nasty world. Instagram is a lot. It's like, you know, social media light, and we find that a little more embracive. And then she's up on TikTok, but I had someone on Twitter last night. The first sort of what he's like, "Oh, this Real Housewives is an example of what's wrong with American society. A bunch of, you know, childish people running around that are, quote, rich and have things all out of perspective," or something, you know, something to the effect of running down the whole franchise and the concept. I was like, yeah, that sounds a little bit like the presidential race or Live versus PGA Tour, or, you know, I was like, where do you, all social media in general? I said, I don't know. You do you, George, but, you know, we're just going to keep kind of going on. And we've started a business called Tee Shots, flavored shots for on the golf course.
Oh, you got to take advantage of all this publicity now. I mean, you know, well, anything you can.
Know, that a big part of that was that we're building out businesses, and this platform and this opportunity to reach this kind of audience is not, you know, that was a big reason why we said yes, honestly.
I can't let you go without at least a little bit of golf talk, but I think people would be surprised at, you know, with Matt, and, you know, he's covered golf for so many years, Golf Channel, Morning Drive, that how disillusioned, like, I can say this, that you become with the pro golf circuit right now. PGA Tour, Live, everything, and I'm starting to feel it as well. I mean, I'm excited about the Open next week, but what they have created now is like the worst possible version of what pro golf, I think, really can be at the moment.
Agree with that, Ben. The majors, I said it when it happened, the majors are more major and everything else is just a lot less. You know, the week to week is just so less compelling because we're watching a watered down or a diluted version of whatever we were, you know, sold on as professional golf. And the majors are where we get a chance to actually see, you know, the whole sum total of the best compete against each other. And I think we saw that at Pinehurst, and we saw that at Augusta, and we're going to see that, you know, again next week. But other than the majors, I just don't feel like they deserve or are working towards a product that actually you know, caters to the fan, which, oh, by the way, it's an entertainment industry. I think they've just gotten so insular and so much in this sort of bubble that they've lost touch with what actually matters from a professional golf standpoint. And I think that's why you have the emergence of all these YouTube golfers and this other sort of version of a golf product that just seems to be way more watchable and interesting.
And you've really kind of then focused now on the fun part of golf. You got your bonfire tournaments that you got going now as well. If you want to tell people about those, they're very cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I started a production company 4 years ago, it was a lifestyle events and experiences, and then COVID hit, and that wasn't great timing. And then we started the Fire Pit Collective, and we were a boutique media company trying to serve, you know, several verticals of golf content. And I couldn't make it work from a financial standpoint. So we're back to Fire Pit Productions, and we're putting on bonfire events, which are going to be, you know, places at Pasatiempo, Gamble Sands, places where you can go and get exclusive access and have some fun experiences. And we're creating content around that and telling stories about course restoration, renovations, and continuing to do the Fire Pit podcast.
Very cool. And if anyone didn't catch your Tony Gwynn podcast series, where can they still find that?
That's still at firepitcollective.com. And I love your roundtables. I love Tony Gwynn Jr.'s perspectives. I love how you guys break it all down and all the different voices. I think you do an incredible job. I listened to yesterday, and, you know, you guys, you hit all the the key topics and the points that need to be made. And I appreciate all that you guys do, and the way we're all in this together, right? I find it to be very cathartic to be a part of this community and to be listening in on so many avid fans, and the way the crowd just continues to support this volatile team that keeps getting trotted out. I really hope they sort it out. I believe in Mike Shildt. I believe in AJ Preller. I believe in the stars that we have. And we, as Tony Gwynn Jr. said, we haven't really had the full product out on the field at any point for any long period of time this year. And I think once we get there, if and when we get there, we'll get served the product that I think we all know that they can deliver.
Love the optimism, although you're the reason why Adam will never let us stop doing the roundtable now. So thanks a lot for that, Matt. Have a good weekend, and appreciate the stories. Good luck on the rest of the Real Housewives season.
Looking forward to some more middle relief, guys. I can't wait. Thank you.
Trade deadline's
I might
coming
need
up.
some middle relief. I might need some middle relief.
Matt Ginella spending a few minutes with us. Appreciate that, catching up with Matty G. And yeah, Bravo, new episodes on Thursday nights? Is that how it works?
Sure.
Megan Reindl will let you know all the details if you really do want to follow the season coming up. All right, we'll come back. We'll reset the show. Do want to get into that Padres topic. Is it worth even making a big splash at the trading deadline for this team right now? And we've got the Reindl Report and Mike Shildt all coming up ahead here on 97.3 The Fan. Halfway home on a Friday, 2 hours down, 2 hours to go. Going until 10 o'clock. I'm Ben Higgins. Got Paul Reindl here. Stephen Woods is off. He will be back on Monday. Our thanks again to Matt Ginella. Again, don't know how many in our audience, other than your wife, watch The Real Housewives of Orange County, but I thought it was a fascinating discussion of like the behind the scenes of reality TV that Maddie's been living here over the last 2.5, 3 months. And you mentioned during the break, we forgot to bring up the major baseball connection to The Real Housewives of Orange County, Paul.
I still don't exactly know all of the details, but woman who was dating the bookie in the Shohei Ohtani story, she's on
She's
the
one
show.
of the other cast members of the show. So
Yes.
the guy who was the money guy bookie that was taking Ipe Mizuhara's bets, essentially. I don't know if he is on the show at all, but he's certainly dating and in a relationship with one of the women on The Real Housewives of Orange County.
I believe, and I'm sure the missus will be in the chat here to clarify, but I believe they probably were filming when all of that was going down.
Crazy.
So we'll see if that comes up. I don't know.
So we mentioned Woods is doing his 3 concerts in 3 nights thing, but that's actually not why he missed the roundtable yesterday. He left the show and went right to see his son Bo Woods at the Manny Machado baseball camp, and saw some videos of that yesterday, Paulie. I mean, what a turnout for Manny. It turns out when you're a baseball superstar in a baseball crazy town like San Diego and you hold a camp, you get a lot of kids to show up to that camp. But had one moment where Bo actually got to swing, take a pitch off a little underhand lob from Manny Machado. But hey, anytime you get a chance to have one of your kids interact with Manny Machado,
I mean, it looked
that's
like there
got to
were
be a pretty
500
special
kids
thing.
there.
Oh my God, looked crazy. Tier 1 Jocelyn was there. She said 480 kids. And then there were all the parents who stuck around to see what was going on and keep an eye out. But I saw Jocelyn mentioned in the chat, and I heard, I think Gwen and Chris talking about it yesterday, that Manny brought like boxes of Topps baseball cards, like 20 packs for every single one of the
that's
kids
awesome.
in the camp, as well as just kind of a little added bonus, which I thought was really cool of Manny to do. And it looked like Bo had a really good time. Of course, we'll get the full story on Monday morning from
Just
Woods when he comes back.
A bunch of little kids running around with number 13 on their back. It looked awesome. I'm pulling up the video right now. It looked like Bo. So, yeah, I guess every kid kind of lined up, and Manny just lobbed them an underhand pitch. And I think Bo might have pimped it.
A little bit. I mean,
in typical Bo
you know,
Woods
it's like one of those playground style games where you're batting, but there's 38 fielders out in the field, so there's really no way to get a hit. And he hit one in the air, and actually like 4 fielders tried to converge on it to catch it, but of course they all ran into each other and it fell. So he ended up at first base.
He
But
had
he's
like a little hitch in his step, a little Fernando Tatis Woods there.
He was pimping it a little bit. He wanted to show Manny that he could do the Manny kind of lean back after he hit one, like his walk-off home run from 1 week ago. So yeah, had a little
there's the pitch.
Extra little hop in his step. Yeah, there it is.
Tosses the bat.
Everyone converges, misses, and Bo ends up at first base. Thinks he might take an extra base when the ball gets away, but no, he scampers back to first safely. So that was pretty cool. And you can see Woods now. He's behind the chain link fence. He's trying to keep his distance. He did say Manny stopped and said hello. He was driving by in a golf cart and he saw Woods and he said, "Hey, wait, hold on. I want to say hi to Woods." So
That's
we do have the lifetime friendship contract. So Manny at least honored that with a personal hello to his lifetime friend Stephen Woods yesterday. But that's where Woodsy was yesterday. And then I think he was at the observatory last night and supposedly heading into Hollywood for a couple of days. And we'll get all the stories on Monday. They usually are.
This is the part that part of the trip that you and I just couldn't wrap our heads around, that he's driving up to Hollywood
to drive
just
back.
to turn around and drive all the way back to
Anaheim for the show, and then go back to
up
Hollywood, and then the other show. And the funny thing is about a Woods vacation, I guarantee you this, on Monday morning when he is here, like when I went on vacation last week, I don't really have that much in the way of stories to tell. My vacation went as my vacation. I planned it. Relaxing by the pool, playing golf, eating too much food, and then coming home. Woods will have something bonkers that happens to him. He will meet...
I'm kind of the same way as you. I'll go on vacation. It's like, yeah, I relaxed. I had a great time. I don't know what you want me to tell you.
He
Woods will come back and be like, bro, so we were in this Uber for 45 minutes driving down to Anaheim. The guy was an extra in Die Hard. It was unbelievable.
And we got back to our Airbnb. You'll never guess who knocked on the door. Robert De Niro is our next door neighbor. And then he came in.
He asked if we had any milk.
He will have the craziest story. It's just a guarantee he will come back with whatever random crazy story happened to him.
The Dunder Mifflin guy on their honeymoon.
Yeah, of course.
I forget the name. And then he met
Andy
Buckley.
Andy Buckley.
Yes. And then we ran into Shia LaBeouf. Over Christmas break.
Like 17 times, couldn't get away from him.
Was stalking him up at Lake Arrowhead. Like, Woods has a unique talent of pulling just the smallest detail and turning it into this amazing story that he's got such great storytelling abilities, but also really weird random stuff happens to him.
I mean, unpredictable. No way he could set it up. Like, he's not faking these things, but constantly. I don't know if it's just something about his personality or if he's just hyper aware of it. And he is definitely someone who observes the world around him really, really well. It's what makes him such a great host, storyteller. He's just good at it. But he's also never escapes being Woods. Like Jocelyn just wrote in the chat from the camp yesterday. She says, Woodsy was hesitant to pull the I'm Stephen Woods, let me on the field card. I told him to do it. He got super sweaty and anxious, but then he did it. But he'll probably talk about how he didn't want to be that dad who, I kind of know Manny, can I go out there sort of dad, but ended up out there apparently. So I guess we'll find out about that on Monday as well. So, happy National Etch-a-Sketch Day to you, Paulie.
Same to you, my friend.
Did you have an Etch-a-Sketch growing up?
I did. I was not good at it.
No, is anyone good at it?
Well, some people are, because I've seen. You know who is? Mina Kimes on ESPN. She always has like when she was on around the horn, she would always have like an Etch-a-Sketch behind her with some wild creative drawing.
You know what I could do on my Etch-a-Sketch? A rectangle.
A line.
A line. Anything that had to be curved or diagonal.
I never understood.
You had to turn both of the dials at like the exact same speed so they would go in like a diagonal way. Otherwise, it was just straight, left, right, down, up, and that's all you could do on the Etch-a-Sketch.
Maybe for summer break next week, where we really explore the space and branch out a little
Etch-a-Sketching?
bit. We'll just do an Etch-a-Sketch competition segment. It'll be the worst radio we've ever heard, because it'll just be guys. It'll just be quiet. It'll just be this.
Taking over from radio charades that time we did it. That might have been summer break as well. Shake, restart. You got to get it in the right spot, and then you shake it from where you want to. I mean, I have no idea. There are a couple of like Etch-a-Sketch artists who can create amazing things. I never figured out how they could do it for sure. It's also National Different Colored Eyes Day, which always makes me think of one baseball player in particular, Max Scherzer, who's got the two different colored eyes. It's unnerving. There's nothing. It's just a genetic quirk, I think. But it is kind of unnerving to look at Max Scherzer and see the two different colored eyes. What if that's part of the success?
Unless he's got like a contact in or something and he's doing it on purpose. He didn't choose that, and it's nothing to like make fun of, but yeah, that would kind of catch you off guard, I think.
A little bit, yeah. So anyway, I wanted to reset one of the topics we had in the roundtable yesterday, and that was, you look at the trade deadline coming up, and usually the question around the trade deadline is, all right, who should the Padres go after? What needs do they have? Who are you willing to trade? Are you willing to trade DeVries and Salas, or do you want to hold on to your prospects? And those are all valid questions. But we kind of took it to the next level and said, okay, is it really worth it for the Padres to actually make a big deal at the trade deadline this year? Is this team good enough that one player or, a couple of pickups are going to make any difference whatsoever in the ultimate outcome of the season? And the reason I say that is, what are the possible outcomes for the year? Well, you could do nothing. I mean, the best outcome is do nothing and still make the playoffs and make a run and win the World Series. Keep your prospects, got the guys, they just play really well. But I think we all are realistic in
Does
going.
that seem likely to you?
I don't think that's really likely to happen. And even an optimistic Padres fan probably says, I don't think there's enough pitching depth on this team. They need some help. If they want that to be a realistic scenario, they need some help. So then you can go aggressive and you can say, all right, let's trade one or two of those top guys, Salas or DeVries, and try to bring in a top-line type pitcher, Skubal, Crochet, add him to the rotation. All right, so now what happens? Probably, hopefully, they stay healthy. You win, a few more games than you would have. Will that be the difference between winning the division and a wild card? Probably not. You're probably not going to catch the Dodgers. So you're still, and Chris Ello made this point, you're still going to be a wild card in that scenario, even if you make an aggressive move. That's kind of the ceiling right now for the Padres. So you make an aggressive move. It works out. All right, you're a wild card team. Now you have to get through 4 rounds of the playoffs to win a World Series. Maybe that new pitcher helps you in the wild card series, wins one of the games, you advance to the next round. At some point, though, is it still enough to get all the way? Or are you simply trading prospects for the hope that you win 3 more games down the stretch and 1 more game in the playoffs? Or can it really make a difference and turn the Padres into a World Series contender? Because if it doesn't, what are we doing here?
Yeah. It's weird because
Is it really that much more important that we get to the division series rather than the wild card? Is that worth trading a top prospect?
I lean towards looking at the guys that you have paid the big money to, and I'm not including Fernando because we still have plenty of years left in his prime. I'm talking more about Manny, Jake, you, and Joe, who are big question marks already, but they're only going to get older. And we talk about the window all the time, the window of contending for a World Series title. And maybe that window stays open if you hold on to guys like DeVries and Salas, and they come up in 2 or 3 years and are playing at an all-star caliber level. Maybe that continues that window. But the guys that you banked on getting you to that window of contention, the guys like Manny, I don't want to wait around too many. I don't want to say it's a punt year because they're absolutely in the mix of things right now. But I lean towards being in favor of going all in, pushing all your chips forward, as long as we're in Manny, especially in his prime, before he becomes 35, 36, 37 years old.
I certainly understand that age argument. It's very valid that the older they get, the less likely you're going to get prime seasons out of these players. But that's not necessarily true for next year. This year, Manny was hurt all year long. And maybe he's coming around. Fernando Tatis Jr. was hurt literally all season and now is on the injured list for we don't know how long. I mean, if they think that Fernando's coming back in, early August or whatever, okay, fine. You're going to have a superstar player. If they think it might linger deep into the season into September, now you're throwing more resources at a team that doesn't even have its full strength. What will Xander Bogaerts look like when he comes back? Is he going to look like Xander Bogaerts, or is he going to be the player that we saw that was hitting like 200 early in the season? It's possible next year, though, you have a healthy Manny, a healthy Tatis, a bounce-back Bogaerts. Maybe next year is the year to go after it more than this year.
And so, I'm looking in Guz in the chat says, I say we run with what we've got, use our prospects for next year. Now, I don't know if he means use our prospects on the major league team. I don't think either of them are on the major league squad next year, DeVries or Salas.
Use them, I think, more to acquire someone in the offseason to build up for a better run in 2025.
If you're able to go get somebody with control this year, that gives you an extra push, an extra postseason push, too, because if you go out and get, I'm looking at Skubal, right? Not a rental, 3 years of control. If you were just going to go try and get him in the offseason, you might as well just go and get him at this trade deadline, have him for the 2024 playoff push, and then still have him moving forward.
Guz makes another point that I want to address coming up as well. But he says, call me a pessimist. I don't think we can beat the Phillies. And you're right. This is not in a vacuum. You also have to look at the other teams. You may have one of your better teams, but if there are juggernauts ahead of you, like the 1998 Yankees, it's not as wise to go all in if there's a team you think you can't beat. So I want to address that when we come back. I also want to open the phone lines. Woods isn't here. If you want to join us and talk about whether you think the Padres should be pushing chips in or be more conservative here at the trade deadline, let me know what you think. 833-288-0973. Take some phone calls in our next segment. Still have a Reindl Report coming up. And the manager, Mike Shildt, at the top of the hour at 9 o'clock in our manager's report. All coming up. First to check traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. A lot of tier ones in the chat still talking about last night's very stylish dinner on the diamond. What Padres players and their wives and girlfriends were wearing. Very, very nice outfits, that's for sure. I'll say, if the Padres play as good as they looked last night, they will have no problems beating the Braves or any other team. They looked spectacular last night, looked like a really cool event at Petco Park with over $1 million raised for the Padres Foundation and the Peter Seidler Legacy Project.
It was cool. I feel like we don't have a ton of publicized red carpet events in San Diego, and even for something,
because they have all of those up in LA, and we want to be different, so we don't do the LA red carpet thing.
But every once in a
usually.
while, especially with players that we love and support and root for and cover every day, like, I thought it was fun. I think it's a great idea that the Padres do that now. It's 3 years in a row moving forward. Michael, I know you're in the chat. Maybe get us a table for next year.
Yeah, Michael's spending a lot of time in the chat.
Huh? Come on.
And he's actually commenting on the question that we were just asking about whether you want to see the Padres really push in this year or whether it's better to save some of those chips maybe for next year. Will the circumstances be better for the Padres to make a deeper run in 2025 versus 2024? And Goose in the chat mentioned that he said, I just don't think the Padres can beat the Phillies. If you look at the Padres and who they have played well against, don't think they're going to run into the Angels or the Rockies in the playoffs. So really, they've done a good job handling everybody else that they faced other than the Phillies. Now, is that enough to say, well, maybe we should just back off? And, this Phillies team is unbeatable. Phillies have looked unbeatable the last couple of years, and then ultimately what happened? They got beat in the end. Yeah. They have a playoff track record of getting beat. The Dodgers are much more vulnerable than we thought they were. Padres are 5-3 against the Dodgers this year so far. I mean, they certainly look like they can beat them in a series. They've done it a couple of times already. So if they met the Dodgers in the playoffs, I'm not feeling too bad about the Padres' chances. If they're meeting the Braves, who they took 3 out of 4 from in Atlanta, if they're meeting the Cardinals, I know they dropped 2 of 3, but they're not a scary team. If they meet the Brewers, they won the season series from the Brewers. If they match up against the NL Central champs, to me, if there's only one team that you're really afraid of, that's actually a pretty good circumstance to go for it. That's not a reason to back off. That's a reason to go, this thing is wide open.
I was just going to say that. Yes, there is one team that is, as of right now, kind of standing above the rest, and that's the Philadelphia Phillies. Yes, they have had our number. But I don't think you let that stop you from, if the direction that AJ wants to go is push his chips all in, and Ray says in the chat, we're already all in. Like, you pushed your chips in with Arise and getting Cease as well. You didn't push all your chips in. You still, of course, have Salas, DeVries, Snelling, Lesko, etc. But you've already committed, so there's no turning back. And this isn't one of those years where there's 4 juggernauts in the National League. There's one, and on paper, I guess, 2 with the Dodgers, but they just have not played on the field as well as everybody thought they would on paper heading into this season. So you can't let one team that's starting to run away with the National League scare you away, because you get into the dance, anything's possible. They could get outed by the Mets or something in the first round. You may not even face the Phillies.
And you could wait until next year, and there could be 2 or 3 juggernauts all of a sudden standing in your way as well. So that's an argument to go for it. I wonder what you have to say out there. 833-288-0973. Go out to the phones. Let's see. Is this Doug?
Yes, it is.
Doug, welcome to Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's kind of off the top of my head, so I haven't really thought it through quite well, but basically my idea is trade away your very best player and very worst player, because your very worst player is not performing, and your very best player, it may be hindered by the fact that your very worst player is, stopping rallies or getting a second out when, things could be better. So my take is, take your worst player, take your best player, trade them away for 2, not all-star, not megastars, but just 2 very decent, consistent players. Maybe not top of the line, but something, in the middle.
All right, Doug, I'm going to be gentle here because you did admit it, that you hadn't totally thought that out. no one wants your worst player, so you can't trade your worst player. Now, you could trade a good player for 2 mediocre players and then just cut your worst player and add him to the roster. But what the Padres really need right now is more frontline pitching help, top of the bullpen help. And they're going to get that not likely by trading any of their current players. They're going to get it by trading their top prospects.
Yes.
Whether that is DeVries and Salas, or whether there's teams that are interested in Lesko or Snelling, or maybe there are other prospects that other teams have an eye on that A.J. Preller might be able to deal here at the deadline. Whoever they are, their value in your organization. And if you trade them now, you won't have them in the offseason or next season to trade them. You can only trade them once, unless you get them back and then you can trade them again, which if anyone is going to do, it's probably going to be A.J. Preller. But for the purposes of this discussion, you can only trade these prospects once. And once they're gone, and you can't use them again. Now, you can draft more and try to build them up, but that takes time and resources and draft picks to do that. Padres have a draft coming up on Sunday. They're going to have to hit again, to either restock what they're about to trade away or to build up more depth and, hopefully find another Jackson Merrill who in a couple of years will make it. Now, you could have traded Jackson Merrill last year, as part of your run. You didn't. You could have. You could have gotten someone better, I promise you, than Rich Hill and G-Man Choi if you had decided to trade Jackson Merrill last year.
Right. Yeah.
Where would you be right now, though? Sometimes the smart decision is to hold on to those players and be patient and wait for them to come up and start helping your team. Because I promise you, no one would be happy right now if the Padres had traded Jackson Merrill and he was a Rookie of the Year candidate with another team, and you're going, oh, we let another one get away.
That would have hurt.
It's tough enough right now to see C.J. Abrams at the All-Star game. Mackenzie Gore lost last night, but has been pitching pretty well for the Washington Nationals. They've made obviously tons of other deals. Some have worked out, some have not worked out. The deal with the Mariners in 2020, we don't need to go over again how awful that one looks. Again, Andres Munoz, who closed out the game, has been a terrific relief pitcher. Ty France has been productive for them. Padres got Austin Nola, obviously. He caught for a while, but never was the same Austin Nola that they picked up from Seattle. That was a bad deal.
Yeah.
That was made at the trade deadline. And Craig has made the point many times that usually AJ's best deals come in the offseason. And the ones that we tend to not like and regret, they come here in July at the trade deadline. Now, that doesn't mean that the next one's going to be bad, but it does mean that the decision-making that he's done at this point in the season has not been his best work so far. His best work comes in December and January.
Yeah, like Christmas Eve. Oh,
Yeah.
you want Darvish?
Yeah,
and
that was
Snell
Christmas Eve trade for Darvish looks like a fantastic trade right now.
Don't even remember who we gave up.
Deadline deal for Austin Nola, not looking as smart. Rich Hill, G-Man Choi, doesn't feel as good with the trades that were made in season. So you got to keep that in mind as well.
Even the ones that looked good weren't good. Adam Frazier looked like a good trade.
Bad.
Didn't do anything.
Did not work out at all for the San Diego Padres.
Mike Clevenger, we thought was going to come in and be that ace. No, nothing.
All right, let's take a timeout. If you want to get on the phones again, 833-288-0973. Paulie's also got some headlines. We'll do an early Reindl Report because don't forget, top of the hour, Mike Shildt with the Manager's Report. Join us here before the end of the first half of the season and the start of tonight's series against the Atlanta Braves. It's all coming up on Ben Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So I kind of realized I never really gave you my full opinion on whether I think the Padres should or should not, push their chips in and go for it. And ultimately, I do think this team is good enough to make a run. It would be better with another player or two, another pitcher or two. And if the Padres want to go for it in that sense and think that they can get the right deal by trading one of their top prospects, Salas or DeVries, I'm okay with that. I don't think that it's necessarily short-sighted. This team is good enough to invest in the present. Now, as you said, Paulie, I would love it if they can pick up someone who is also going to help them next year, because next year
that's what they've already done with Cease and Arise.
Yes,
they're not rentals,
and they've done that with other pickups at the deadline at times as well. Soto, the plan was 2.5 seasons, turned out to be 1.5 seasons, but it wasn't just a rental for a couple of months. Now, Hill, G-Man Choi, those were pure rentals. Garrett Cooper, pure rental. I don't think you can give up a top prospect for a pure rental for 2 months. Maybe lower level prospects, sure. This team's good enough to do that. But if there is a deal on the table, helps you the rest of this season and helps you, hopefully next year and maybe the year after, you can consider doing it. You're not just throwing it away at a team that has no hope, because I do think this team has hope. There's not that much standing in their way. There's a Phillies team that's really good, but has, hit a wall in the playoffs the last couple of years. Just all of a sudden, they looked unbeatable, and then the next day, and then we lose 4 in a row, and we're done. It can happen to them again, absolutely. The Dodgers are gettable. The Brewers are gettable. There's no team that completely scares me other than the Phillies a little bit.
I'm looking at it a little bit, to kind of cross sports here. San Diego State basketball has had a couple of years where the Blue Bloods, the powerhouses, were having down years.
Yeah. Oh.
2020 was one of them.
That was a great year to do it.
That tournament ended up getting canceled due to COVID.
They should have made a trade in 2020.
A couple years ago, when they made it to the championship game, that was another year where you beat the best team in the country in Alabama in the tournament, and looking around, like Duke was nothing, Kansas was nothing, North Carolina, like all of these schools, these powerhouses.
2011 in Kawhi's year. I mean, they could have. Connecticut won the title. They could have beaten Connecticut in that game in Anaheim.
And so to bring it back to the Padres, this is similar in the sense that, there's one team that is standing above everybody else in the Phillies, but the Dodgers aren't the juggernauts everyone thought they were going to be. Typically, you would have expected the Dodgers to be running away, the Phillies, a healthy Braves team. Like, you never, and then maybe a surprise team that's in the mix and won't go away.
There's not three or 4 powerhouses in the National League right now.
If you can hang with Philly in a 7-game series, like, it's out there for the taking. And somebody said, well, the problem is the American League teams are who we struggle with. You know what? That means we're in the World Series, so I'll be okay. I'll take my chances.
I don't know. Boston's doing really well right now in the American League. They're 10 games above 500, I think. You just took 2 or 3 at Fenway. Yeah, you lost 2 or 3 to the Yankees, but that was the Yankees team that was red hot a month ago. This Yankees team now, they can't do anything at the moment. So I don't know that the American League teams are overly scary at the moment either. Baltimore is even struggling. They just got swept this week by the Cubs. Reeling Cubs team just gave up 2 runs in 3 games, including back-to-back shutouts to the Orioles. Everybody is vulnerable right now in Major League Baseball. Let's get another phone call or 2 in before the Reindl Report. We got Chris holding on. Chris, good morning. Welcome to Ben Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
Hey, good morning, guys. I want to know, before I get into this, where are we at with Musgrove and Darvish and, Tatis? Are we getting those guys back, or what's going to happen with them?
Yeah, good question. We don't really know. Yu Darvish is a mystery on the restricted list, dealing with family issue. I think health-wise he was on the right track, but he can't really make any progress until he comes back to the team. We don't know when that's happening. We did have a decent report on Joe Musgrove, who threw off the front of the mound, so he threw like 80% off a slope. Don't know how he reacted to that, but Mike Shildt seems to think that he's taken every step, but he won't be back until August. And Tatis's timetable remains pretty much a mystery as well. Could be at the end of July, could be in the middle of August, might not be until September. You just have to wait for that stress reaction to heal itself. So, yeah, obviously it would help a lot to get those guys back and Tatis back, but I don't think you can wait around, Chris, and just hope that those guys are going to be saving your season.
Right. Yeah. No, you've hung through the injuries so far this year, whether it was Manny, Tatis, Musgrove, Darvish. Like you've hung around. I wouldn't let that uncertainty of those players returning. When will they return? What will they look like when they return? I wouldn't let that deter you at all if you're AJ Preller and looking to make some moves here in the next couple of weeks.
All right. We got Mike Shildt coming up at the top of the hour, so let's get enough time for some of Paulie's headlines. Got the Reindl Report coming up right after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. Big bunch of nothing going on our roads, guys. Yeah, it looks pretty smooth all around. We're not showing any trouble spots out of the South Bay. The bridge in good shape heading over to Coronado. Westbound side of the 52, up to speed heading out of Santee. Change the way you see the world at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. Whether you're eye to eye with Sumatran tigers or soaring high above giraffes and rhinos, every adventure helps support wildlife worldwide. Visit today and see conservation from a new perspective. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report.
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Okay, how are you?
On 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a oh yeah? Oh yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right, Paulie.
We will start off in Major League Baseball.
Breaking
because,
news.
We got some breaking news. Yeah, if you were with us earlier this morning, we had our buddies Jake and Jordan from Cespedes Family Barbecue Podcast on the show at 6:45, and they are in Dallas, getting ready for the All-Star Game and the festivities, and we were talking about should Paul Skeens, the rookie phenom, who's made, 11 starts?
Yeah, didn't debut until May.
Yeah, should he start the All-Star Game? I said, hell yes. That is going to be the best thing for the sport. That's going to get the most attention, the most eyeballs tuning in to see him in the first inning going up against the best of the American League, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, etc. And Jake and Jordan both said, yeah, I agree, but history says you got to earn it, and there's more deserving guys. A lot of people, Ranger Suarez. Well, it has been announced here just in the last few minutes. Paul Skeens has been named the starting pitcher for the National League in next Tuesday's All-Star Game.
It's actually kind of a no-brainer when you think about it. I mean, if the best choices are Ranger Suarez, or I've heard Chris Sale would be a good story, bounce back, but Sale is supposed to be pitching on Sunday, which makes him ineligible to pitch in the All-Star Game. Really makes it, I think, a pretty
full rest,
pretty easy decision here. And I don't know if it's actually Torey Lovullo who gets to make that call or how they decide it, but I will tune in, even if you're not a huge baseball All-Star Game fan. Come on. People are going to tune in to see Paul Skeens and Jeff Passan tweets likely to face Gunnar Henderson, Juan Soto, and Aaron Judge.
Come on.
In the bottom of the first inning on Tuesday night. That's a must-see TV right there. That's what an All-Star Game is about. Haven't seen him against those guys get a chance to face the best of the best just through 7 no-hit innings, so everyone's talking about Paul Skeens. This is how you get eyeballs to your All-Star Game. Not with Ranger Suarez or Chris Sale.
Right. So the announcement, I guess, I saw it was credited to the Dan Patrick Show is where the announcement was made. So when I went to the Dan Patrick Show's social media, he airs on Peacock. Shows his show on Peacock now. I did not know that. His guest today was Paul Skeens. So I guess you probably heard it straight from the horse's mouth moments ago.
Do we trust Paul Skeens? Probably.
I would. I think he would be in the know of whether or not he was starting in the All-Star Game or not.
Livy Dunn will probably be there supporting. She's returning to LSU for another season of gymnastics, I believe.
Yes.
Saw that.
One more year. Going to run it back.
She makes a lot of money on social media, I've heard. They're doing well as a couple. Let's just say that.
Oh, yeah.
Doing quite well as a couple.
Yeah, they're going to be just fine.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? Teammates with Robert Suarez and Luis Arraez and Jackson Merrill and Jurickson Profar Paul Skeens
had a wild story yesterday in baseball. There was a kid who placed a bet on one of the apps. He placed a prop bet for Eugenio Suarez to hit a home run yesterday. And those are typically
it's not like saying I think Shohei Ohtani or Aaron Judge is going to hit a home run.
I mean, even then, it's still to predict it. It's still like a plus. Like Aaron Judge would be like a plus 250 odds, which are good, not great, but good for a home run. A guy like Suarez, I think, was like 400 plus 400 odds. Meaning that's a stretch.
You expect one every 5 days or something like that.
Right.
It's not
I
guaranteed.
Stay away from those. I've made some money. Like I made a decent amount of money on Juan Soto's first game back in Petco Park. That was the easiest plus 250.
Kyle Schwarber hitting a home run against the Padres.
Yeah,
it feels pretty.
So you can place that. So he placed the bet, and Eugenio Suarez hit the home run. So he cashed out. I think it was $40 or $50. He turned into 400.
Nice.
But
that's not a Reindl Report story, though. No. That does not rise to the level of Reindl Report.
It rose to the level of the Reindl Report because, and I will show it here if you're watching us on our stream, the kid that placed the bet caught the home run ball.
That is,
and everyone's like,
quite the coincidence.
What were the odds on that? I'm going to place $20 on Suarez to hit a home run, and I'm going to catch it. That would be plus 10,000.
Way more than that. I mean, you may catch a home run ball, once in your life if you're lucky. You sit out there regularly, maybe once. I mean, that's like Powerball stuff.
He's sitting there. If you're just listening, he's holding the ball in one hand. He's got his phone in the other, showing the receipts, showing the bet that was placed. I can't believe that.
All right, if we were like one of those shows with an unlimited budget, we fly him to Petco Park tonight, have him place, a bet on Jackson Merrill hitting a home run, sit him out in right field somewhere, and see if we could duplicate that.
Fine by me.
I don't think we have the budget for that.
Make it happen. All right. And then finally, it is, we talked earlier, it's National Etch-a-Sketch Day. It's also National French Fry Day.
I will partake. I'm happy to
French
partake
fries.
in French fries.
So with National French Fry Day, like yesterday was 7-Eleven Day. You can go get your free Slurpee. I'm just here. This is a little news you can use. Where can you get free French fries today, or maybe even this weekend? We'll start with the Golden Arches, Mickey D's, best fast food fries.
Yeah, I still think they're number one. I mean, there are some worthy competitors with different styles. I like Five Guys fries, but they're pricier.
Yeah.
McDonald's now, if Padres win in the app, you can get free fries the next day.
It's true.
Any day, not just on National Fry Day.
I like
Of course, they
In-N-Out
haven't won all
fries.
week, so this is a little cheat code today.
I like In-N-Out fries. Have to eat them immediately.
Immediately, yes. I also.
They are elite.
Within 2 minutes, In-N-Out fries are among the best. After about 3 minutes, might as well throw them away.
You can't run through the drive-thru and go home and eat them.
No, they're gone. Like, if I go and get fries, like In-N-Out for the kids, and I get some for myself, my fries are gone before I get home. Because if I wait, now you can mitigate it a little bit by getting the box as opposed to the bag. You put them in the bag and steam them, they're done.
Oh, God,
absolutely done.
Soggy. So you can go to McDonald's. If you get the McDonald's app, you get a free medium order of fries with any purchase of $1 or more today. And then every Friday through the end of the year. And then they're also going to be giving away any
Friday. Get it? Friday.
Friday. And then also tomorrow, McDonald's is giving away any size order of fries free, no purchase necessary in the McDonald's app. Burger King is giving away free fries. You got to be a member of their Royal Perks loyalty program. Again, just assume you're going to have to download the app and sign up with an email address, but you can get some free fries there. Taco Bell is giving away their Nacho Fries Lovers Pass. That's through their royalty program or their rewards program. KFC has the free secret recipe fries on Friday, and that is a free order of those fries with any online purchase made through their app.
What about the waffle cut fries at Chick-fil-A? I like those.
Yeah, those are good.
Those are pretty tasty.
Those are really good.
Different sort of ball game, but still very good.
Yeah. So enjoy National Fry Day. It's a fryer fry day.
I bet Mike Shildt would like a few French fries. He's a man of simple tastes sometimes.
Let's ask him.
Chipotle
Best
fries,
fast food
best
French
fast food fries. All right, we can Ask him on
hard-hitting
National
questions here
Friday.
on Ben and Woods.
Ask him about last night's dinner on the Diamond. He was there, got to speak a little bit, get his impressions of last night's event. And, of course, we'll talk about the week that was. And there was some good because we didn't talk to him last Friday. So got the walk-off last Friday night. We can talk about that. The struggles this week, the series against the Atlanta Braves, everything up for grabs here coming up on a Friday with the Manager's Report. Mike Shildt going to be joining us coming up at the top of the hour here as the Padres return from a couple days off. They had Monday and Thursday off, so they should be fairly well rested at least coming into this series against the Atlanta Braves. All right, don't go away. Mike Shildt joins Ben and Paulie coming up next here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We will be right back. Final hour of the week. Ben and Woods, Ben and Paul today on 97.3 The Fan. Woodsy again off, but we'll be back on Monday morning at 6 a.m. as we will be into the All-Star break. Now, we got the manager's report coming up momentarily, but question for you, Paulie. So Ben and Woods summer break.
Yes.
Which is not really summer break, summer camp, whatever. We're here. We're just, trying to make things fun next week. Does it start on Monday or Tuesday?
I believe Monday.
It does start on Monday because
Yes.
we'll have an entire series of games to talk about on Monday.
After that, I mean,
it'll be more of Monday will feel more, I think, like a normal show wrapping up the weekend, Padres baseball and such. But after that, next week should just kind of be fun, a little lighthearted.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are going to be loose.
And Friday, really, because even though the Padres will be back
we'll
in
be
Cleveland,
looking
we don't
ahead.
have any games to talk about. We'll look ahead a little bit, obviously, when we get to Friday. So, Monday, Friday will be kind of the shoulders, but then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday will be the bulk of Ben and Woods' summer break next week, and try to have some fun as we hit the midpoint of the baseball season for your San Diego Padres, who will be back in action tonight against the Atlanta Braves. 6:40 first pitch, 5:40 Eco Water SoCal pregame show with Sam Levitt. Mentioned it earlier, but the Padres did tinker around with their starting rotation for this series. Instead of Randy Vasquez, Matt Waldron, Dylan Cease, it's going to go Matt Waldron, Dylan Cease, Randy Vasquez. So moving two guys up a day and moving Randy Vasquez back a couple of days, which makes today's matchup Matt Waldron against Spencer Schwellenbach.
Yes.
And, the don't know much about Spencer Schwellenbach other than the Braves, like so many other teams, have been hit by a rash of pitching injuries. The Padres aren't the only one. Hurts to lose Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove, obviously, but tell that to the Braves with Spencer Strider out for the season. Tell that to the Dodgers, who have been hit by massive pitching injuries. Tell that to the Giants, who are only now getting Blake Snell back. Tell that to the Diamondbacks, who have yet to see. Has Eduardo Rodriguez pitched at all for them yet? Jordan Montgomery's been on the injured list at least twice after they spent a truckload in the offseason to pick up those two guys. So the pitching injuries are something that is happening everywhere, which is why getting pitching at the trade deadline here is going to be massively, massively difficult for any team because so many teams are in desperate need of pitching right now.
It's like what we were talking about earlier and how there are, so many teams in the mix, and it's kind of anybody's league right now in the National League, and that makes it so much more difficult to not know who's buying, who's selling. It could change on a whim in 3 days.
All right, let's get to it. It is time for our manager's report with Padres skipper Mike Shildt. It is brought to you by San Diego County Credit Union. It's not big bank banking. It is better. And the manager of the Padres, Mike Shildt, joining us right now. And let me say, Mike, you clean up nicely. I saw some video from last night's dinner at the Diamond. You looked very sharp out there. Maybe not Fernando Tatis Jr. level sharp, but you look good. How was the event last night?
It was fantastic. It was, no one's going to pull off the Toddy look. He's in his own league, man.
Certainly is.
A lot of dudes with some serious swag and style, but great event, great cause. Raised a lot of money. I think over $1 million for the Peter Seiler Legacy Foundation. So overall, just a really, really good night. And I was grateful for the guys to show up and have some fun with it.
So it leads me to my first question, though. And I've always kind of wondered this because in other sports, basketball coaches either will wear a suit or even just a pullover or something. And football coaches will get a hoodie, Bill Belichick style. Baseball is the only sport where the manager actually has to dress in the uniform. Are you in favor of that? Because I know for guys like, I don't look great in a baseball uniform in my late 40s. Would you rather say, hey, can we just wear something like normal in the dugout? We're not going to be out there playing.
That's a fair question. I haven't really thought about it. I've always wore a uniform, and sometimes I catch a glimpse. I'm like, oh man, maybe your best look in the uniform right now. But I don't know. It's kind of an interesting question. I've never really thought about it.
Well,
I'd rather do the uniform for sure than the Connie Mack suit every day.
There you go. You at least don't have to put on a tie every day. That's I'm on TV. I don't even put on a tie every day. No one wears ties anymore except when you're really dressing up at an event like last night. Lots to get to. Let's go back first of all. last Friday. We were off. We didn't talk to you, but what a game that was last Friday night with the huge the ninth inning comeback, and then the tying home run by Jurickson Profar and the Manny Machado walk-off home run. I'm just curious, when your team gives up 6 runs in the ninth inning to lose the lead, what's said, if anything, by you, any of your coaches, any of the players, as you're coming back for the bottom of the ninth, knowing you still got a shot, but that just has to be such a punch to the stomach in an inning like that?
Yeah, I mean, tail of two, really 3 games, really, because right in the third, because we got the first out in the top of the ninth, continued to have played, as good a fundamental, baseball as you could play. I mean, just had 2 really just clean games, well played games against Texas, and then first, like I say, we had a 7-2 lead, a lot of things done right. He gets a homer, do some things that manufacture some runs, play clean defense. Vasquez gives up a homer to Peterson in the first and settles down and gets into the 7th and grabs an out. Wandy comes in, gets his guys, and starts the 8th with a couple outs, and Delo finished the inning with an out and his guy, and like, all right, here we go. And like I said, get the first out, and then exception of the walk to McCarthy, you got to give him credit. Base hit, Gurriel, base hit, Moreno, walk to McCarthy. Go to the bullpen. Thomas ambushed a heater for the grand slam, and I think Rich got a change up, put a swing on it. So, a double down the line, right before that. So, or doubled in right center with Carroll. So, it wasn't like we just, imploded and walked a lot of guys and made a lot of errors. Just one of those innings that, baseball happens, and then ultimately to your point, so that's phase 2 of it. And then the third phase is, you look up and come in, and guys weren't phased. It was really impressive. And they bring in their closer, and Pro hits a solo homer, and, Crony works in a tough walk, and Manny gets a slider sweeper that he can put a swing on and doesn't miss it, and send everybody home, largest crowd in Petco Park history, happy. So it was a wild one, to say the least.
Talking to Mike Shildt here on Ben and Woods, the Manager's Report, brought to you by SDCCU. Mike, we've been following along with Xander Bogaerts, his most recent rehab assignment up in Lake Elsinore, and looked like he was swinging the bat pretty well. Any roster moves that the fans can expect here this weekend, maybe?
I'm not here to break news on the roster.
We love the breaking news, Mike.
Well, I'm sure you do. I think that I could clearly see why. Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think it's going to be a state secret, but, expect Xander back sooner than later. And he got through his rehab last night, and looks like he's in a pretty good place. So, stay tuned.
Speaking of guys, you had an update on Joe Musgrove earlier in the week throwing off a slope, and I know you said the next step was to see how he was kind of bounce back from that. Any news on how Joe's feeling after throwing off the front of the mound?
Yeah, he threw off the slope, and felt good, came out clean. Thought to him, sounded like he recovered well. So, he's still a work in progress, but the work's going in a favorable direction. So he's going to continue to look towards the next steps.
So we've gone through this a few times this season before, and at this point, I feel like it's fair that to have some faith that your team, after losing 4 in a row this week, no reason to think you're not going to bounce back. Does it help knowing you've done it 3 or 4 times this year, where you've gone into the normal just baseball slumps, as you've said, that happen over the course of the season? Does it help your guys knowing every time they've pulled out of it and really gone on a nice run after these mini losing streaks?
I mean, yeah, we've almost 100 games in the season, so I think the team's proven that it's going to be, resilient when things don't go as well. I think anyone, like most of us have, listen, I'm sure, you follow a 162-game season, it's going to be ups and downs. It's just the reality of it, and, I don't love it. But, got to figure out a way to continue to get back on the proverbial horse and figure out, how to win games and play the game. And, we've got clearly an understanding how to do that and have done it. So it's just a matter of getting back to it.
Talking to Mike Shildt, another thing that happened since we last spoke, you had a number of guys who were either voted into the All-Star game or named as All-Star reserves, 5 players from the San Diego Padres. And curious, as the manager, do you get to let them know about that? How does that work? And what was the reaction like, especially for a guy like Jurickson Profar, who has played so long and never gotten an opportunity to do this, and then a guy like Jackson Merrill, who in his very first season, I mean, what an amazing thing to get to go to an All-Star game.
Yeah, it's a really special moment for the club. You find out through our media outlets, who our media representatives who makes the club. And then, you have the way I've done it. I think most clubs probably do the similar way. You announce it, you have an all-star announcement. We've had multiple now. I had one in Texas with Fernando and Pro, and that was really special. We got, we were on the road obviously, and Toddy wasn't with us. We plugged him in on a FaceTime and on the big screen and announced it and with their teammates, and just a real heartfelt, genuine round of applause and excitement for the guys. And they typically have want to say a few things. They talk about whatever's on their heart and their excitement, and clearly Pro was rightfully excited and enthusiastic. I mean, he's got that wonderful smile anyway, and it was on display. And of course, Toddy was happy and earned it. And then we got home and got the reserve announcements and the pitching announcements, and we're able to do the same thing with Suarez and Arise and Jackson, and did it in the clubhouse, and guys were able to celebrate it with them, and guys were clearly excited, rightfully so.
All right, Mike, I'm going to try again. I don't expect breaking news here, but I'm just going to ask. We all we're following along with Fernando Tatis Jr., and there's been so many differing reports. He could be back this date. It could be September. He's not coming back at all. I mean, how's Toddy doing? How's he feeling? Is there anything you can tell us how he's progressing as he's looking to come back?
Well, I think you're setting yourself up to follow. I mean, people can, maybe the reports are true, but I haven't seen them. The timetable's not, established. There's clearly a plan, but it's not etched in stone right now. Right now, he's still similar to Joe. He's in the early phases of recovery. He'll test again to see where he's at relative to the healing process or the baseline that was created, 3 weeks ago, and that'll happen fairly soon. And then after that, we'll kind of take it from there, like we did with Bogey. And but there is favorable news. He's in normal movements and some controlled settings with some swings and some light activity and some pool work and so forth. He's pain free and recovering pretty well, but he's still just got to heal that bone, and so there's no timetable on his return to play at the moment.
Mike, after your post-gamer on Wednesday, you guys tweaked your starting rotation a little bit, so we hadn't really gotten a chance to ask you about it. I threw my speculation hat on and said, well, maybe they're trying to even out the amount of rest for all the starters, but moving Waldron and Cease up a day and Randy Vasquez back 2 days, can you give us kind of just the thinking behind setting up this final series before the All-Star break?
Well, we knew all three of those guys were going to pitch. Vasquez had a little baby girl.
Congratulations.
Yep. And I don't know how public that was, but I guess it is now. But yeah, he
and you said no breaking news.
Yeah. Well, you got me. Congratulations.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, we just pushed him back a little bit and for his schedule, and it just worked out that way. So they're all going to pitch. It's a matter of the order. So that's pretty much the reason.
All-Star game coming up on Tuesday. Now, you haven't gotten an opportunity to coach in one of those yet, right?
That's correct.
All right. Well, 2025 National League All-Star manager Mike Shildt. You know what that means, so I'm hoping that absolutely happens. But how much input do you have in terms of, especially like if you have a pitcher going like Suarez, in terms of like what the usage is? Do you talk to, Torrey about any of your players before they go over there and what's going to go on, or do you just kind of trust they're going to have the best interest of the players in mind?
I'll probably send Torrey a little text or something, but the regulars, they'll be healthy. I'll just confirm it. He manages the club however he sees fit. The only thing you would do is, it's a pitching situation was more or less with like a starter, where he'd be on turn. But Suarez is going to have, at least a day. Now if he goes, I don't think who knows. They just threw it yesterday, so he'll have a day in this series, I'm sure. But if he should be able to grab an inning for them on Tuesday without much of a challenge, and have Wednesday and Thursday off. So, but if he's compromised anyway, I'll shoot out a little text to him. But I expect him to be full go and represent us.
All right, well, good luck this weekend against the Atlanta Braves. A tough team. You guys played well against them in Atlanta back in May. Before you go, because I wanted to ask you this, today is National French Fry Day. What is Mike Shildt's favorite fast food French fries?
I'm a big fry guy.
Oh, well.
I eat them with ranch.
Oh, okay. Not the usual ketchup. He goes with the ranch. I can respect that.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yep. So, gosh. 5 Guys without the salt.
Good call.
Yeah, it's probably where
McDonald's are always hard to beat, but I said McDonald's and 5 Guys. Yeah.
Yeah, they're solid.
I like those Chick-fil-A waffle fries too, though. Do you like those?
Can't beat them. Yeah, they're good. They're good.
Mike, good luck this weekend. Enjoy the All-Star break, and good luck to the team again in the second half of the season. We'll talk to you again next Friday.
I appreciate it, guys.
There is Padres manager Mike Shildt. Our manager's report brought to you by San Diego County Credit Union. It's not big bank banking. It is better. All right, we will take a quick timeout. We'll come back, react to all the non-breaking news that we didn't get from Mike Shildt, but you can still read between the lines a little bit.
Hey, we got some breaking news. I feel happy.
We did.
Congratulations to Randy Vasquez.
Congratulations on a new little girl. He'll have Manny Machado's little one. Will have someone their age to play with growing up. Hopefully, Randy Vasquez around a long time. Into the starting rotation now. Maybe years to come. Teammates with Manny, and their kids can grow up and go to school together or something. But we'll read between the lines as we always do when we come back with more Ben Woods after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. So I'm sure you all caught when I asked Mike Shildt about last Friday's game, the incredible ninth inning, blowing a 5-run lead and then tying it up and winning it in walk-off fashion. That while we're very used to Mike Shildt in his post-game news conferences going through the play-by-play of the game. I kind of understand that. It's kind of the old, all right, just kind of organize my thoughts in my mind. All right, here's what happened, then this happened, then that happened. It's pretty amazing that he can do it still a week later after they've played 4 other games, and he still knew, like, what happened, like, in every inning of the game, the sequence of at-bats in the 9th inning of a game a week ago.
Yeah.
Like, who it was, who got all the hits, not just for the Padres, but for the opponent, what the pitches looked like, who walked and everything. Remember, that was 5 games ago, and he still
It's pretty incredible.
was able to go through it. I feel like I need to compete against him now. Either is me going through my golf round from a week ago or Mike Shildt going through the play-by-play of, like, some random game. Now I want to test him. Like, okay, May 17th against whoever, go. Just tell me what happened in that game. Go. Give me the play-by-play from the start to the end. I think he could do it.
Chris says in the chat, why are you surprised? Like, if anybody
I do,
on Earth should be able to sympathize and relate to that, it's you. You could tell us any shot on any round of golf in the last 2 years.
It's easier that once I play more rounds, they do start mixing up a little bit in my mind because they're, it's the same course. And all right, was this the round from 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago? Because I remember like the next couple of days, but then it starts to like fade like memory does. Apparently it doesn't fade for Mike Shildt. It remains quite fresh and quite right there. What happened even a week ago in that game. So I thought that was fairly notable. Again, not any huge updates, and I think he's being pretty honest when it comes to Fernando Tatis Jr. That it's not that they're hiding anything; it's that the injury will dictate the timeline of the return.
I'm just asking the questions.
Yeah, there's just no. It's like you can't accelerate it, you can't really slow it down. It'll heal when it heals, and when it does, then they start, a rehab process that will take a certain amount of time. But until then, you're just kind of at the mercy of, what Nando's body actually does in terms of recovering. And he says he's feeling better now. That's the first step, but that's the first of many steps. Joe came off of his throwing session off the front of the mound feeling good. That's a positive sign. And while he wouldn't come out and completely say that Xander Bogaerts is back tonight, Xander Bogaerts is coming back for this series against the Atlanta Braves. Even he couldn't really deny the truth that he's ready, and he's set to come back. So that'll happen almost certainly today or tomorrow at the very latest, I would think, that Xander Bogaerts is returning for the San Diego Padres.
Any guesses on the corresponding move?
Well, they have 3 catchers right now, so I wouldn't want to be Brett Sullivan probably at the moment, because that's always an easy one. Yeah. Don't necessarily need 3 catchers at once, but could be other moves. You kind of still need your outfielders, though. Bryce Johnson hasn't done much offensively, but who else are you going to play out there, or at least put out there as a defensive replacement late in the game if you need him? So, I don't think Tyler Wade's going anywhere at the moment. So yeah, I'd say Booty is probably the guy who's going to have a packed bag in the locker room at Petco Park if Xander Bogaerts is in fact activated today. I don't know anything. I'm just making a guess there. He also got the start in the game yesterday. That's also a sign like, hey, let's get him out here once before we have to send him back to AAA possibly. Just guessing and speculating.
But listen, I don't think it's going to be a state secret, but expect Xander back sooner than later. And he got through his rehab last night, and looks like he's in a pretty good place. So, stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
He does not want to step on A.J. Preller's toes when it comes to decisions and announcements on roster moves, which I would probably be the same.
I get it.
Given AJ, knowing that he wants to, he wants everyone to be in line and in sync. You don't want to be talking out of school. You want to make sure everyone feels like everyone's on the same page in the organization. So I do get that and understand where he's coming from. Cool news about Paul Skeens going to be starting the All-Star game. Found out earlier. He actually found out live on the Dan Patrick show from Torey Lovullo, apparently. Called in and said, hey.
So Paul Skeens was on being interviewed by Dan Patrick, and they surprised him with Torey Lovullo?
Yeah. Said,
That's
hey,
amazing.
We got your skipper from the Arizona Diamondbacks here. He's got something to say to you. It's like, yeah, you're my guy. You're starting the game on Tuesday night against the American League.
I love that.
And probably, I'm sure, just one inning.
Who's this Dan Patrick guy that's got all that pull to get the National League manager on?
Dan
with Paul
Pugh,
Skeens?
actually. That's a stage name.
Whoa.
Dan Patrick is his television name, but his real name is Dan Pugh. I worked for his brother once at one of the previous radio stations in town.
Bill?
Bill was Dan's brother and was a radio executive here in San Diego. So he took the, I can see it kind of glides off the tongue a little bit. Dan Patrick.
Yeah.
As opposed to Dan Pugh. Just, not the same. It's like Dan Stevens sounds really, really sexy as a fake name on radio and television.
Name.
All right, we're going to come back. We might get a call from a Tier 1. We got a little a teaser text from, was it Woods who sent us the text?
No.
It was actually
Max
sent us? Okay, well, maybe Max wants to call in. He had an idea from our roundtable yesterday about Ha-Sung Kim trade possibilities. I haven't really talked about that this morning, but if you want to get into that, we can in our final segment of Ben and Woods coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Let's see, what's the other thing we learned from Mike Shildt? I asked him about the change in the pitching rotation, and we had lots of speculation. Paul, you thought they wanted to try aggressively to win the first couple of games of the series before Chris Sale pitches on Sunday. Good theory.
I thought that was just a theory, and
I
knew he wasn't going to tell us
I
anything.
thought it was more about lining up the rest days through the All-Star break to set up the second half of the season, which is a good theory as well. But Mike Shildt said, no, Randy Vasquez, he had a baby, and they wanted to give him a couple of extra days and push him back.
We were both completely wrong.
Totally whiffed on that one. Let's see. All right, so as we teased, and we talked about it yesterday in the roundtable, that, well, yes, we're expecting the Padres to probably trade prospects for players that can help them now. They also have a player in Ha-Seong Kim who's going to be a free agent at the end of the year and would be a pretty valuable commodity to teams that are looking for a versatile, top defensive, and really actually better than average offensive infielder right now. And with the return of Xander Bogaerts, would you consider trying to make a move? And we got our friend Tier 1 Max Searle, who is on the line. Anyone with an IMDb page is all right with me. Max, of course, was the producer of the hilarious Dave. Got other projects going right now. But Max, welcome to Ben and Woods.
What's up,
How are
Max?
you this morning?
Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Good. Good. How's that IMDb page looking?
Oh, my God. IMDb is so great.
Have you started work on
loaded up
the
with
Ben and
fantastic.
Woods documentary yet?
You know what? That is in the queue coming up. You guys just let me know when you want me to come down there. And I don't know if certain people on the show would maybe want that to come out though. Maybe
He's
certain
not here,
people that are on
so-
vacation right now. Yeah,
He's
fine.
out ruled
Okay,
2 to
that's
3 right
He's
now.
out randomly
enough.
running into celebrities on vacation like he always does. I have no idea how it happens, but swear he's going to have a story about some weird celebrity encounter that he had this weekend.
Well, he's a magnetic personality.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so I texted this to Woods. Now, this is Woods approved. He said, I like it. Said, call Ben and Paul and pitch it to him. I was listening to the show yesterday. I love the Ha-Seong Kim talk. I get it. I agree, even though I don't want to lose him. It makes sense. And I thought, okay, what's a deal? Of course, like you said, the clubhouse part is probably the biggest component.
Yeah.
Guys would be pissed. What is a deal that could maybe mitigate that a little bit? And so I thought about the teams you guys are talking about who need shortstops. Let me lay this one out here, and I can give you some more reasoning after I say it. You trade Kim, maybe you throw in Peralta or someone to add some salary to the Giants, and you bring back Blake Snell. Now, here's what I'm thinking. Snell has been terrible this year. He had a decent start when he came off the IL. He's got that $32 million player option. They definitely don't want to pay that next year. They're already $15 million over the luxury tax. They're probably going to want to make some more moves. You give them Kim, bring back Snell. It still keeps us under the tax because of how much you have to pay Snell. And you get the chance to get a guy who could be a dominant starting pitcher, which you would not otherwise be able to get on the open market right now without giving up a DeVries or a Salas. Let me hear your thoughts.
I'm intrigued. First of all, Tony Gwynn Jr. told us in the roundtable, don't make too much of the chemistry thing. These are professional baseball players. They will get it. They will figure it out and move on with their lives, even if Ha-Seong Kim is gone. My biggest concern, and you did kind of address it, is that option for next year for Blake Snell. A team, I mean, if they can keep it under the luxury tax this year, which is clearly an important goal for the Padres to stop with the penalties, not just the cash penalties, but the draft penalties and the other things that come when you go over. If they can stay under that and still add Blake Snell, I think you've got a potential idea on your hands here. He looked good in his last start, just 5 innings, but he looked more Blake Snell-like. You reunite him with Ruben Niebla. You feel like he's going to be comfortable. If anyone can be comfortable right away, when it's Blake in San Diego coming back. I think selling it to Giants fans who are expecting a winning season, Max, is going to be the tough part. But I guess if you're getting Ha-Seong Kim, you can kind of frame it. We're not waving the white flag. We're just reallocating our resources toward our second half run, maybe?
Well, I thought about it. Okay, so there's 2 scenarios. One, Giants go one way. They're already, I think, 4 games under 500. They start to tank, and you think, okay, season's over. The other thing is they actually are one of the few teams in the league. They have Robbie Ray and what's his name Alex Cobb coming back off the IL. So they're actually getting pitching in the second half. So I think they're one of the few teams that could potentially maybe lose a starting pitcher, especially if they're thinking, oh God, Snell's going to pick up this $32 million option. He's been terrible for us. It might not be the craziest deal in the world for them to cut bait and send him back to a team where he knows he's going to be comfortable. And now maybe they don't want to do that because we're in the division, but I think it could be a potential match. Maybe I'm crazy.
The best solution of all, and it's a little Hollywood, is invent a time machine, go back and offer Seth Lugo $4 million more to stay here and pitch like a Cy Young Award winner in San Diego instead of Kansas City. That would solve a lot of problems if the Padres could do that. And I'm a little angry just because I said in the offseason he's the one I really would like to keep. And I guess they just felt like they couldn't afford. What was it like the difference? It was like 1 year and just like a few $1 million and like, oh, he's pitched so well this year. Would love to have that guy back.
They were really penny pitching, and I think if they had that back. I mean, I'd take Michael Wacha back right now. I think we could take anyone at this point.
Yeah, and part of this, and I hate to even, it sounds crass bringing it up, but the fact that Yu Darvish is on the restricted list and not getting paid right now. And of course, just hoping that Yu comes back and everything's fine, obviously, with his family. But that money actually does now not go against the CBT as long as he's on the restricted list. And if he's making $20 million, even if he's gone for a month, that saves you like $4 million or so under that you can use this year without going over the luxury tax level. So that could help you bring in Blake Snell. They got about $15 million left this year. Prorated, maybe you get, as you said, you shed a salary or just get the Giants to pick up, $5 or $6 million. You could stay under the luxury tax, and then you can worry about in the offseason if you need to make other moves, or you can go over next year without nearly the same kind of penalties.
Well, I think what Preller likes to do is he likes these 1 or 2 year pitcher options. So I think having Snell $32 million, maybe that's an overpay, but it's 1 year. You're not locked into this guy for $200 million for the next 7 years or whatever. I think it's a pretty fair asset to have coming into next season, even if he does pitch poorly the rest of the year, because we know how he goes. He pitches terribly, and then all of a sudden, second half rolls around, and he's a Cy Young again.
Max, I think it's the best idea I've heard so far. I'm going to give you full credit for it. We'll probably bring it up on the roundtable next week if they haven't made that move yet. Thank you very much for adding to the discourse this morning on Ben and Woods.
I hope AJ is listening.
Yeah, buddy. You know what? I hope he's listening too. Except I really hope he's not listening to this show, because that would just make me nervous if I thought AJ Preller was listening every morning.
Morning, guys.
He's listening. Maybe not 4 hours. He's on the phone. He's doing other things. I'd be surprised if he isn't tuning in occasionally. I know he's tuning in occasionally. I was with my brother last week, and they play basketball together. And Sam tells me that AJ sometimes goes, "What are they talking about? Tell your brother he doesn't know what he's talking about." I get that message occasionally. So obviously, there is some word that at least gets back to AJ about what goes on this program. All right, let's take a final look at traffic. Still have some things Ben likes as we head into the Annie and Elston program and get you ready for the weekend and the return of Woods on Monday. All coming up here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Got a few problems wrapping up our Friday morning commute. Collision in the North County, southbound 15 on the Valley Parkway off-ramp. Several vehicles involved in that tangle. South 15 before the 163. Reports of a mattress in the slow lane. Also getting reports of a possible brush fire starting up near the Adams Avenue off-ramp. Northbound 805. Smoke visible from that right shoulder. And collision on the Bradley Avenue off-ramp of southbound 67. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, couple items just quickly before we wrap it up. This is a very Ben sportsy note that I'm throwing out there, but just a little bit of breaking news this morning involving our Holiday Bowl. It was announced today that the Holiday Bowl will retain its partnership with the Pac-12 for the next 2 years. And I know you're going, what? There is no more Pac-12. All but 2 schools are gone. Well, even though they're gone, they're going to honor their bowl commitments for the next 2 years. So the Holiday Bowl, the DirecTV Holiday Bowl, will still get the second pick of Pac-12 teams after the Las Vegas Bowl, but they get to pick from all the teams that are either in the Big Ten or the Big 12 or even the ACC, although that would be kind of weird because they're also playing an ACC team. I don't know if take Stanford or Cal, those are the ACC schools, but they will still have one of the former Pac-12 teams participating for the next 2 years in the DirecTV Holiday Bowl which is moving back to Snapdragon Stadium, they announced last month as well. So that's new, was announced, I believe, at the Big 12 Media Days, because they didn't have a spot for all of those teams that were coming in to go to like new bowl games, like in the Big 12 and the Big 10,
Right.
all these extra teams. Where are we going to put them in the end of the bowl? Just keep the agreements. And so even if like USC finishes third in the Big 10, the Holiday Bowl can choose them as their representative, whereas the Big 10 bowls will not be able to choose USC as a bowl representative. Does that make some sense? Did I explain that well enough? A little bit?
Yes.
Kind of? Sort of?
The whole reshuffling of all the conferences is going to confuse
Yeah, it's
going to
be confusing for a while. And the Pac-2 still exists with Oregon State and Washington State. I know. The other thing, hey, I like giving away tickets, and we got the opportunity here as we head into things Ben likes to give away 2 more tickets this week to John Fogerty in concert at the Rady Shell. Beautiful venue. If you have not been there, you really should check it out. He's going to be playing on, I believe, September 4th at the Rady Shell, and you can win tickets right now by calling 833-288-0973. Third caller is going to win a pair. You can also get your own tickets at Ticketmaster.com, but while we listen to things Ben likes, call in at 833-288-0973. Your chance to win our last pair of John Fogerty tickets this week. And before we get to Annie and Elston, let's wrap things up with a rousing edition of things that I like. I like good, juicy, sweet strawberries.
I like a good marching band. I like a good thin pancake.
I like a Nickelback song or two.
I like a barbecue chicken pizza. I really like those seeds. I like a midnight buffet. I kind of like the smell of soft scrub. I like more of a small derriere. I like cake.
I like Ed Sheeran.
I like both a hamburger and a cheeseburger. I like clocks. I like how I've kind of set up my life. I like grasshopper pie.
Oh, no, I like it creamy. I like good, firm banana.
I like just looking out at the sea. I like eating.
I like moist.
I like curry.
I like big butts.
I like fried Brussels sprouts. I like more of a firm filling. I like corn.
I like Nordstrom. I do like musicals.
I like pepperoni. I like nice hotels. I like Nick getting a start today. I like nuts. I like Steph Curry. I like that song.
I like Squirt.
I like sake. I like San Diego State.
I like Straight Up, Paul Abdul.
I like the beef and broccoli. I like to mix it up. I like Science Experiments. I like that song. I like the crispiness of the waffle. I really like cheese. I like the little lunch meat. I like very straight lines. I like cannelloni. I like a well-crafted headline. I like brown sugar. I like maps. I'll say I like Justin Turner.
I like going to golf games. I like diving into chores.
I like sugar.
I do like Butterfinger. I like blue and silver are not bad colors. I like the time change. I like Major League Baseball's new rule. I like the radio. I like geography. I like the knuckle method. I like Skippy. And I like pie. And I like Bob Melvin. I really do. I like Jace Tingler, too. I like this day. I like being right. I still do like movie scores. I like good food. I like maps. I like when interviews can turn into organic conversation. I do like a Stouffer's French bread pizza. I like having the wind go through my hair. I think I like shows that the characters have an arc. I like the full lettuce, tomato, onion experience as well. I like those kind of burgers. I like that big overflowing bag of fries. I like those little Smarties rolls. I liked what I saw from Seth Lugo. I liked his competitive fire. I like walking around between the different lands. Steve Kerr, though, I like that. I like living on the coast. I like watching Tiger still. I like the idea of that matchup. I liked what I saw in the preseason. I like the aloneness sometimes of Texas Hold'em. I like watching San Diego State basketball. I like those cashew-buttered cashews. I like cold, clear sake. I like a lot of things. I like Chick-fil-A sauce. I just like rankings. I like Steve Winwood. I like Pie Gal Poker. I like to be informed on subjects. I like Chicago. I like Tom Petty. I like the idea of another left-handed bat in the lineup for sure. I do like a good Matt Damon film. I like being on the same page. I like broccoli. I like Brussels sprouts. I like a lot of things. I like this shirt. I like Wipeout. I liked my omelet. I like San Diego State at home. I like when a baseball player can be more than just a baseball player. I like vanilla. I like the atmosphere. I like the felt on a poker table, just kind of how it feels under your fingers when you're there. I like rhubarb pie. I like the window seat. Changing the subject. I like that. I like just the standard yellow peep. I like how San Diego State's playing right now. I like finer things. I like calling a game. I like fiction more than nonfiction, just like the cream. I actually like playing golf with other people. I've liked everything I've seen so far from Mike Shildt. I like Mexican food. I like just the solar system. I do like steak. I like specifics. I like going to 7 Mile Casino during the day. I like that people are there having a good time. I like my new eating schedule. I liked what I was eating. Yeah, I like the variety of the menu at Sammy's. I do like a good midnight buffet. Woo!
God, you like a lot of things.
I did say, I literally say, I like a lot of things in the list of things
it's just crazy.
Ben likes. Brandon wants to know, do you like Adam Mazur yet? I don't dislike Adam Mazur, but I can't say that I've gotten to the level of
we know the answer
of like at this point. Lisa says, I like how Ben says solar system. The solar system? I think it's more of a question. The one that I get most into is, I do like a good Matt Damon film. Don't know why. I just got a little excited about that one as well. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for joining us this week, even without Woods and his outrageous stories today. But he'll have new outrageous stories for us, undoubtedly.
Oh, plenty.
On Monday morning from his weekend that will not go as he planned.
Summer break, Ben and Woods.
Summer break next week. Yeah, we'll wrap up the Braves series, and then we'll have some fun next week. We needed a little break, obviously. We all do in the middle of the season. So we invite you to join us for it. Annie and Elston coming up next. Great job by Paul Reindl, wearing multiple hats as always. I'm Ben Higgins. Enjoy your weekend from all of us here at San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.